time to go galactic!
Man, I love Rhythm Thief. I've mentioned before that the early 3DS library was a bit bare bones for about the first year. We didn't have anything major for Pokemon or The Legend of Zelda. There was Mario and Kid Icarus, but I personally bought it for Mega Man Legends 3, which But there were some real good bangers on there though, and Rhythm Thief was one of them. A lot of people downloaded the demo and tried the Eluding the Louvre game, which is probably why it spontaneously trended on TikTok a few years ago. Because I mean, come on man, that song slaps. But now only a small few actually remember playing through the game. People are surprised to see that the actual gameplay, outside of the minigames, is like a point-and-click adventure. You go exploring Paris, talking to various NPCs, collecting sounds, and solving minor puzzles to progress the story. It even has fully animated cutscenes to tie into the story, which involves the historical emperor, Napoleon, coming back to life. It's got multiple mysteries tying into each other too, like our protagonist, Phantomar, looking for his missing father. Then you have the potential love interest, Marie, trying to find her mom, and there's also a plucky young detective trying to prove themselves to their father by capturing you. And there's a lot to love about this game. Oh, and did I mention you have a lovable mutt for a partner as well? That should sell you into trying this game because Fondue is amazing. But with the 3DS now formally shut down, it's a lot easier said than done to actually play the game. So this video will detail my experience going through the entire game again as I complete it from top to bottom. This game is 10 chapters long, and I wanted to detail the various story beats, the puzzles, and showcase the amazing music this game has. This is more for those who are unable to experience the majestic game that it is. Just a heads up, I did replay this game like 3 times to record it. Initially I tried it on the original hardware on the 3DS, but the video was choppy and the graphics were really low res. So I replayed it on an emulator, but that created some minor graphical errors. Most of it's negligible, but unfortunately our dog Fondue suffered a bit of PNG slicing. Oh no. But anyways, without further ado, let's start off at the beginning. When we pick a new game from the main menu, we're instantly treated to an opening cutscene.
At the beginning of the 19th century, almost all of Europe lay in the hands of a single man. Napoleon Bonaparte. This first glorious emperor of France had a favorite saying: "Imagination rules the world."
And then cut to a bunch of cops rushing in to see that his casket has been stolen.
Oh no, no, no! Mon Dieu! The casket, it is gone! Napoleon's casket has been stolen!
We then cut to what looks like the catacombs of Paris, where an older man greets his emperor, who awakens from his centuries-long slumber.
Time to awaken, Emperor.
3 years later, and we're still in France. Deal with it. We meet our main character, who introduces himself as Raphael. He mentions that he used to live with his father, but now it's just him and his dog, Fondue. He then tells us a secret. He's Phantomar. What does that mean? We don't know just yet. We just know that it's showtime! We then get to play our first rhythm game, and it's an incredible start. It's very basic in that you just slide your stylus and timing with these shadow clones, but it's the music and presentation that really sells it. It's very colorful, and the music is just so stylish and optimistic, especially with the song's cool-ass lyrics. I mean, it's Sega, they don't slack when it comes to music. So let's just sit back and enjoy it for a little bit.
3, 2, 1, go! Let's go mayhem, dance to the number, sliding, stepping, tripping in the bumper. Dance so hard today in the slumber, magical step, feast the piper. Junior the restaurant, where does that come from? Junior up in the streets and they call him fat, so many and is he that danced the most. 3, 2, 1, go!
For the game's soundtrack, we got 3 composers who worked on various tracks for the 3D Sonic games, Super Monkey Ball, and Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Hell, one composer in particular, Naofumi Hataya, was the sound director and composer, and he's been working with Sega Sound since Sonic 2 on the Genesis. So you're in for a musical treat in this game. Combine that with the visuals of this smooth-ass thief dancing and teleporting all over Paris, and I just wish I was half as cool as him. Oh, look at this good part real quick.
Dance It's all around, everybody make a shout, get down. I can't catch up until the dawn continues. Close to work time, so give it to me. 4:30 time. I got a plan here. Let's go. The game is up, go. You can't go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Now, I'm not going to cover the entire minigame, but just in case you're interested, on my second channel, I did upload some Nomis versions of these minigames. I did it because I was listening to the soundtrack and I noticed that they're built with these sound effects and cues in mind, so they can feel a bit shallow when you're listening to them again. But yeah, let's move on with the video. Anyways, at the end of every minigame, you get to see your score and rank appropriately. You also get some shiny medals too, which I'll get into more details. They're just currency for stores that become relevant later. After getting through the first minigame, we're formally introduced to Chapter 1, Chance Encounter. We're given the synopsis for Phantomar's goals. His dad abandoned him 3 years ago, leaving behind a single coin as a clue, and this coin has a unique mark. And today, the Louvre has an exhibit for something called the Bracelet of Tiamat, which also contains the same mark as the coin. Which means Phantomar is going to try and swipe it, hopefully to find a clue to where his father went. But there is a catch. Phantomar is well known in Paris for stealing rare artifacts from museums, and then breaking back in to return them a few days later. And that Paris police have been alerted of his upcoming plan, so they have beefed up security in an effort to catch him. We then take control of Raphael in the overworld. The top screen is portrayed in 3D graphics where you move him around to explore different sections of Paris. Meanwhile, the bottom screen displays the current area, with other characters hanging around that can be tapped onto to talk. This little old lady is named Paula. She is Raphael's neighbor. We're given the context that the Fête de Paris is going on, which is a once-in-a-3-year celebration that takes place. In the next area, an NPC explains that by tapping certain sections of the map in the screen below, you can find some more medals, and possibly other items too. Sounds fun at first, but admittedly, it can be very annoying to stop at every map point and just, tap for a good long minute. I'll get into that later. We're then told to check out the shops where one of them sells music and movies to rewatch. And the other is actually a side quest, where you have to tap on certain objects on the screen to record their sounds. You then bring them back to the shopkeep so he can work on an ultimate instrument. Just a heads up, you can't actually complete this until post-game, so just tap on objects and don't worry about coming back to them until we're all done. Now, back in control, you can rush to the objective by following the path in red. But we're then given a hard stop when R checks out the amusement park and reminisces about his dad.
Papa used to bring me here when I was a little boy.
After stopping by, talking and tapping, we make it to the front of the Louvre, where a cop is already out on patrol. We're forced to take the back entry where Phantomar converses with Fondue. Hehehe, good dog. They spy a shining spot that reveals to be a hidden lock. It's a simple Simon Says puzzle that opens the way to the back of the museum. Fuck! There's more rooms to tap and explore before we come across the main lobby, where the guards are stationed. This leads us to the next minigame, and possibly the most popular, Looting the Louvre. Oh yeah, the minigame that everybody loved. You simply have to touch one of the 4 poses to match the statue that's coming up. Each one has different timings. For example, the blue crouching pose has to be tapped faster compared to the other ones, and the red one has to be tapped slightly after R stops. And yeah, I should address the elephant in the room about the TikTok trend. Much like Raphael copying the pose of the statue, people on TikTok would copy the posts of cursed photos and timing to the music that's used in this game.
3, 2, 1, go!
But let's be honest, Phantomar does it cooler. Each rhythm game has 3 main segments, with a little animated cinematic in between. And I love how Phantomar is having fun and styling on the patrol guards between the transitions. Also, it's very satisfying to hear that popping effect when you time the pose just right. As we proceed further into the Louvre, we're tasked to trying to find a security room. But surprise! it's locked. And thanks to Fondue's barking, Phantomar sees that it uses a voice recognition as a lock. We move forward, find a sleeping patrol guard snoring, and record it. Then we come back and play it in the same room to open the door.
Voice detected. Hello, Joseph. How's your patrol going? Releasing lock.
Easier said than done. Let's let ourselves in, shall we?
Once inside, Phantomar deploys a bit of high-tech tomfoolery. And now it's time to take the bracelet. On the way there, we find a notebook on the ground that gives instructions on the lock for the bracelet. How handy. Once we reach the display, we tap the obvious glowy thing and see the lock that the notebook mentioned. It's a very simple sound puzzle. Simply press the button that corresponds to the sound that doesn't belong. Can you guess? Let's listen again, and I'll let you pause and guess the answer before we proceed. Alright, the answer?
I'm inside your garden.
Nah, it's just this. And now we get this cool looking bracelet. It's time to head out. As we leave, we get another animation, and we see that an ambush was lying in wait for him. We're then formally introduced to the head detective for this case, Inspector Vergier. He's also interested in the mark on the bracelet and wants to question Phantomar for it. And so he will sick Paris's finest rollerbladers after him.
Get him!
No, I wasn't joking. He actually sicks rollerbladers after R. Now we're on to the next minigame, Le Getaway.
Today you rot in jail.
It's a fun and flashy time where you simply press A to hop off the cops and swing off the crowbars. The second phase of the minigame adds in helicopters that swoop in. R needs to slide underneath with the B button, as well as slide through tiny gaps where a small series of jumps usually waits on the other side. The third phase is the same as the second, so just keep hopping until you make your great ape escape.
I'll see you in chains, Phantomar.
We're back in the streets of Paris, where the cops have set up blockades, forcing us to take the scenic route back home. On the way there, we get another animation. A child had accidentally let go of their balloon and starts to cry as it floats away. To cheer them up, this blonde girl shows off her violin skills to help raise her spirits.
There, don't cry.
During this, Phantomar notices the balloon got caught in the tree, so he brings it back to the little girl. R and his violinist meet for just a moment before the cops come running in, forcing Phantomar to run away. In a final shot, we see that this girl's violin glows with the same mark that's on the coin and the bracelet we just stole. And yes, we, because I'm including you into this, viewer. Back to the map, a patrolman blocks the way back home again, so we eavesdrop on him, and we see that this lady in clown makeup named Sarah is looking for her dog. The constable is willing to help at first, but as soon as he finds out that it's a bulldog, he seems to cower out. Poor Fondue's barks can't scare him away, so we have to explore Paris a little bit to find a bulldog to record. We go to this fountain area and see that the bulldog's already biting other people. But an NPC here tells us about another collectible, Phantom Notes. They're a series of notes that you have to tap and find in a row as a mini puzzle. There's a bunch of them, and it unlocks a minigame once we beat the game and find them all. It seems like a fun distraction at first, but it quickly gets boring because Again, you're just blindly tapping half the time trying to find out where they're hidden. I also spoke to this NPC here that mentions that this is the very spot where Marie Antoinette and Louis XIV were executed. Dark. Anyways, we find the bulldog and record its bark, and R compliments the bulldog's owner in his own way.
Good stuff. And boy, it's true what she said. That bulldog was her owner's spitting image.
So we go back to the patrol guard and scare him off by replaying the bark. As we explore further, I run into this damsel worried about what she would do if she were to be abducted by Phantomar and wooed by his wily charms. I mean, it's not just damsels that should be scared. Am I right, fellas? Right? Oh. Our way home is interrupted yet again when we see the blonde girl running towards us. She is being chased, not by the cops, but by knights in shining armor. Phantomar notices the mark on her violin, but we can't focus on that yet, because we're met with Napoleon himself.
This some kind of reenactment? You can't possibly be Napoleon. He died 2 centuries ago.
There is a power in this world which clearly defies your pitiful imagination, mon ami. Now then, ma petite chérie, you will return the dragon crown to its rightful owner.
What are you talking about?
The times they change, but people never. Always the ignorant cretins getting in the way of greatness. To arms, my loyal servants!
And now we transition to the next minigame. It's another simple yet catchy rhythm game where you use the A button to punt the knights on the right and the D-pad to punt the knights on the left.
Enough child's play, to battle!
By the second phase, they try to throw you off by having both sides assault you at the same time, but time it with the music and you should be able to style on them. The end of the phase tries to throw a curveball by having a large knight drop down and you have to tap to get rid of him, but he's gone longer than I can even finish a quarter of the sentence.
What are you doing? Quickly! Beat!
The third phase can be a bit overwhelming for first-timers since they start to close the gap and appear on both sides simultaneously. But we got 2 hands, so let's give them both.
Someone's not feeling it.
When the game is over, we're treated to another animated cutscene where Phantomar uses breakdancing as a self-defense technique. He then grabs the girl by the hand. Wow. Napoleon is shocked that he's bold enough to do that on the first date. But then Phantomar not only leaps over the pier and onto a boat, but then proves to be superhuman in that he just casually leaps from boat to boat. Like, there's no denying he's not human, man, come on. And as the group land on the opposite side of the river, we get this cool-ass frame. And show's over for the first chapter.
Show's over! That night was the start of everything. The mystery of the mark my father left, Napoleon's lost treasure, and the crown that was a map to a key. Little did I know what adventures were in store for me. Chapter 2. On the Trail of the Mark.
After their first date, Phantomar decides to formally introduce himself as Phantomar. And his violinist is named Marie. Please don't turn us in, Marie. She does promise not to, and R decides to invite Marie back to his apartment in case any more of those scary knights try to track her down. Marie is hesitant since she doesn't want to intrude on his family, but then R casually trauma dumps about his father missing and his mother dying in a car accident while he was young. See, Marie says she's sorry to hear that, but she's smiling while she says that, so... Once home, Phantomar reveals his true identity as Raphael, regular red-headed Parisian. The two do bond over the lack of family, as Marie reveals to being left at an orphanage as a baby. They exchange some back and forths before Raphael investigates the violin. He then discovers a switch. Whether it's on the violin or bracelet, I'm unsure, but we do get a short musical memory puzzle where we have to pull some strings. and solving that reveals a clue on the violin itself. The dragon crown sleeps at the foot of the Holy Mother, lulled in by the Princess of the Moon. If you don't remember, the dragon crown is the treasure that Napoleon was looking for. Marie reveals that when she was left at the orphanage, someone left a music sheet for a song titled Moon Princess. As for Holy Mother, yes, we do mean the religious figure from God, the Bible, and Raphael shows off his French knowledge by remembering that Notre Dame also means Holy Mother. So, our next goal is to head off to the Notre Dame Cathedral to play the song. But it's bedtime, so let's go to sleep first. In the morning, Raphael is awakened by Marie playing the violin. The two guys don't mind, and Fondue even compliments her music. But now it's back to the streets of Paris. I speak to Paula, the elderly neighborly lady that knows more about Raffi than she lets on. And she seems ecstatic to see him with a lady. During the chapters, I like to stop by and talk to NPCs. It gives additional backstory and character for the game, and you can even find new rhythm games to play. We find someone asking if you'd like to enter Fondue into a dog show, and thus our plucky Borker gets his own rhythm game. It's simple in that you just angle the 3DS to the left, center, and right to catch the flying meat.
Let's go, Fondue!
But I'll be blunt and say the gyroscopic controls on the 3DS, they can be crappy. This one is low stakes though, and it gives the player enough time to readjust, as there does seem to be a delay on when Fondue actually moves. At the end of each segment, you gotta shake your console up so Fondue can feast on a giant piece of meat.
Right on!
The final phase does mix it up by having Raphael toss junk at Fondue, so you have to avoid that instead of catch. Otherwise, just keep eating the treats so Fondue can win first place. These minigames are optional, and can be considered fillers since they don't serve the plot. They can be missed though, but if you do miss them, then you could use your medals to buy said minigames from the shop, and replay them from the main menu if you want. Back on course though, the NPCs around here seem to know R. This gentleman named Simon tells them not to worry about the shop since he assumes that Raphael and Marie are on a date. And one spot over, this lovely lady named Natalie gives the pair a macaron, before casually asking how long it's been since Raphael's mother died. Damn, you said it best, man. Eventually we make it to Notre Dame, and the two re-summarize the reason for their visit as Raphael switches to his secret identity, Bantamar. But there's also a minigame outside you can trigger right outside the cathedral. One where we cook.
Let's see how you cook.
Yes!
Alright man, I'm gonna put it bluntly. This minigame gave me major headaches when I first played it. You tap the screen for Raphael to bring down the saucepan, and catch the food that the chef tosses. You then swipe to the right when it's done cooking. But each food cooks at different speeds, with broccoli being almost instantly done.
You got good hands!
And the meat takes a good couple seconds before you swipe. There is a food meter to know when the food is cooked, but my advice is to swipe right when it's about 80% filled, because it fills faster than you'd expect. There's also the fact that the food would be tossed too fast for me to catch in a pan, so it can get instantly burnt to a crisp. Psst.
The food, she smile!
When I first played this, I ended up train wrecking the first time here, which is the game's way to say you're near failure. The transition cutscene also gets a distorted VHS effect, as if we were going through a modern-day YouTube ARG series. Ultimately, I found out that there was never a reason to lift the stylus. Just keep it pressed so the pan stays perpetually down as soon as you're done cooking. After that, it's just a matter of keeping muscle control in check.
You're a chef of steel, no iron!
With that out of the way, we make our way inside the cathedral in a rather uneventful manner. Marie is loving the site of worship as we get to see religious icons in a Sega-published game on a Nintendo console. That's when Phantomar remembers that she has to play the song. So now it's Marie's time to shine in her own minigame. Here, we play her violin. I was kinda worried at first, but this was closer to a more traditional rhythm game, where we wait for the tracks to hit the line before we slide the stylus left or right. It gives a lot of leeway too, since it doesn't matter how far we swipe, as long as you have a decent timing on when you swipe. I like how she summons the low polygon angels themselves when you do a decent enough job. And each segment gets a little more tricky, I guess, but there's really no difference between all three. I also kinda wanna flex the natural no miss I did while re-recording on PC.
Yahoo! I did it!
Once completed, playing the song has exposed a Windows secret, which leads to another musical puzzle. This time, we gotta pair the glass that matches sounds. With that solved, we have found the Dragon Crown. Behold its low-quality 3DS resolution glory. R comments that the crown doesn't feel complete, but then we're interrupted by, guess who? Napoleon. He was here the whole time, waiting for us to find the crown. He then sicks his cronies on us, and we have to play yet another minigame where you're supposed to tap A in timing with how the cavaliers jump down.
Now the gloves come off! Now, take him down!
Come on!
But man, the timing is really weird. I try to match the gaps in which they jump down since you can get 2 instants, pause, and then a dirt one jump down, but trying to match the gaps actually screwed me over more. I had more success just spamming the A button. I do love the transitional dialogue though.
Be careful!
For you, Marie, always. Come on! Come on! Come on! Learn some new steps, boys!
Once we defeat them all, we get another cutscene, where Marie gets surrounded by the knights. But then the bracelet on Phantomar starts to glow, so he holds it up and does... something.
You're gonna let her go now!
But that is impossible!
I'll be taking the Dragon Crown.
Once we're outside of the cathedral, Ard decides to change into his alter ego, Raphael. He then ponders the power that is yet unknown before we decide to take Marie back home. On the way there, I was collecting some sounds like buzzing flies, talking to this alcoholic who cherishes wine, and we run into Marie's friend, who sees she's been with Raphael. Before we can reach our goal though, we're stopped by a mother and her crying baby. I love her dialogue here.
You wanna know why babies are so cute? It's for self-preservation. Because if this baby wasn't so adorable, I'd...
We offer to soothe the infant, and Marie tries to help by holding the baby, but... Sorry, Marie. Get wrecked. This is one of the many roadblocks the game likes to throw at us, where we have to go back, follow the red dotted path, touch and tap the object that has the sound we're looking for, then go back, pull up our list of sounds that we've recorded, and play back the sound needed.
Thank you. Just look at that smile. So much like mine.
Now that that's cleared, we can take Marie back home and meet a new character, Jean-Francois.
Marie! Where have you been? I was worried sick.
I'm sorry, Jean-Francois.
He's basically Marie's father figure. I do appreciate that the game dubs the script from time to time, without the fancy cutscenes, just cause it helps add a bit more life to the point-and-clicky adventure game. Also, he seems interested in Raphael himself.
Raphael, I presume. I've always known Marie had a guardian angel, but I never expected him to be so snappily dressed.
See, guys, what did I tell you? After Marie explains why she hasn't been home, Jean-Francois explains that he may have found out who Marie's mother is. A duchess named Elizabeth. That would make Marie a princess. For now, though, we drop Marie off and head back home. Or we would, but Raphael is still curious about the mark on the coin and the bracelet we stole. And he remembers a line that Vergier said about wanting more information on this mark. Since the day is still young, we change into our alter ego, Phantomar, and head to the constabulary to see what they know. But not so fast, man. We can't just waltz right in, especially since it's well guarded, so that means we have to sneak in during broad daylight. You know what that means. Oh yeah, similar to looting the Louvre, we just have to tap the proper pose to hide behind these conveniently shaped plants.
Security's tight around here. Let's go, Fondue.
Comparatively though, the timing is tighter, and the music takes a more chillax approach since we're sauntering in versus, the full-on running from the last iteration. The plants are also closer together, so getting the combo time just right can be a challenge the first time around.
3.
Shut up!
But make it to the end, and we'll find ourselves in the heart of the police headquarters. We move through the hallways for a bit before Phantomar notices the inspector himself talking to one of his men. Being the nosy thief that we are, we decide to eavesdrop on them, and we hear that Vergier hasn't been home in days, and that he's become a workaholic since his wife passed. Vergier also has a kid, and his fellow cop worries that Vergier is neglecting said kid. He acknowledges this, but he wants to crack the case first and put Phantomar behind bars. That sucks, man. But we still gotta sneak into his office to find out more. Back on course, we're presented with a slew of rooms to check out, but lucky me, I got the right one first. I did go back to take the time and find out if any of the other rooms had anything special, but clicking any other arrow just have R commenting that it's the wrong room until the right arrow is narrowed down. Kinda lame, but whatever. The place is filled with stacks of documents, along with a safe. You know what that means. Thankfully, a shiny blip on a screen shows us the combination. Then we have to go back to the safe and do like a very minor puzzle where we simply need to tap to enter in the combination as the safe dial moves on its own. Once cracked, we see a big-ass R on one of the two case files. The other one piques our interest though, and references something called the Mr. A incident, where a string of art thefts are all linked with the strange marking that was on the bracelet and the coin Raphael's dad left behind. The only new clue we get is a new name, Graf. Graf is apparently behind this incident, but nobody knows who that is. And in a rush for more information, he skips to the end of the case file, which involves a theft involving a casket. A casket that belongs to Napoleon Bonaparte. With this revelation out of the way, we make our hasty retreat. It's time to make ourselves scarce, Fondue. However, once we leave the constabulary, we're given another animated cutscene. A soccer ball suddenly whooshes at us, and a lone figure steps out from behind a tree.
Was that on purpose?
You've got guts, Phantomar. Trespassing in Constabulary HQ. I will apprehend you now and prove my worth in the process.
What are you talking about? You don't look like a constable to me.
I would never be a constable. I am Charlie, private eye. So you come quietly, or do you require a penalty kick to the head?
Is neither an option?
No, so I will choose for you.
We then enter a new minigame. Charlie takes to the field. Aw yeah, they're kicking a soccer ball at us, and we gotta kick it back by tapping the lower screen. But Charlie likes to change up the kicks, and thus the timing changes when it bounces off the nearby wall. Charlie also likes to go for a Hail Mary tactic, where they kick the ball high up, and we have to swipe up on the bottom screen to kick the ball back. This timing is really tricky though, and it took me several attempts to actually nail it down. The second segment then has Charlie kicking back or kickbacks, so you gotta kick back the kickback by tapping faster on the screen. Charlie also gives audible cues for whatever kick they're going for, but on repeated playthroughs, it became a memory game for me low-key to get the timing down. I have another complaint. These rhythm games sometimes don't have a real rhythm to them. I was trying to go off the music alone, but that can set you off. Later down the line, the more difficult minigames will feel like they have their own specific set of rules that don't always match up visually or audibly. So going through those games can be more error through trial. I'll bring up other examples later. So this is the first time I actually got a game over, but trust me, I ended up mastering this one for reasons I'll reveal later. Also, I gotta admit, the graphics all upscaled on the emulator can be sometimes jarring. I mean, on a 3DS you don't notice all the imperfections, but I kinda got a laugh over Charlie's fish-eyed model trying to look angry at us, while the expression itself doesn't change like at all. Once you win, Fondue commits a crime, and we successfully run away to close off the chapter.
You're scoring for the wrong team, Charlie. Let's cheese it, Fondue.
Chapter 3. The Darkness of Les Invalides.
So, Les Invalides is our next lead. I grab a trash can noise to channel my inner spirit, and then talk to this old geezer nearby. He tells us that completing the master instrument and collecting phantom notes unlocks new story chapters. Neat. Next up, we talk to this reporter who frazzles Phantomar with an impromptu interview, asking him how he feels about the thief stealing things and returning it back.
Do you think that's acceptable behavior? If you could say one thing to Phantomar, as a citizen of Paris, what would it be?
And, being the bashful thief we are, we decide to cheese it while she's in the middle of questioning us. And in the process, we recorded a camera somehow. After that, I head directly to Les Invalides. Phantomar and Fondue exchange some words, before heading to Napoleon's casket. Once inside, we're attracted by the shiny light. Fondue catches someone's scent somehow, which makes Phantomar spot a special lock. That's right, puzzle time. We just gotta match the paths in this tile-touching puzzle. It's pretty simple, and doesn't take much brain to solve. With that cleared, the casket reveals a secret entrance. We take it to explore some dank-ass tunnels. And we also record this water dropping sound because why not? Trying to move on ahead makes Phantomar remark on how dark and deep the pathway is, which prompts the next minigame, Round 11, Onward Through the Dark. All you gotta do is press A at the right time to leap across these narrow pathways. Sounds easy, right?
Groove!
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I had a lot more trouble with this minigame than I expected. You gotta press A right as R is about to land, but not exactly. It's not something that's easily explainable, and the timing is surprisingly tight. Mistakes are also really difficult to recover from. And all for a minigame where all you do is press A.
Well, onward and downward. Groove!
Also, I am actually colorblind. And the first time around, I didn't know those block lights change color during the transitional phase. Also, I hate those large leap of faiths. It took me a while to get a good rhythm going, and then suddenly R would leap across a large bound, and I had to make sure that I pressed A in the right time, and I was just crossing my fingers every time.
We can still dance in the dark. Groove!
But hop to it and we'll find ourselves in the famous catacombs of Paris. R comments that the torches lit nearby must mean that people are around. And sure enough, we see the Chevaliers around the corner. They're talking to each other and bring up Graf's name, which is the same stranger mentioned in the police record. Being the gossiping thief he is, R decides to step deeper into enemy territory to find out more. We tread further inside, and we see Napoleon is here, and beside him is a silhouetted figure speaking to him.
You've done fine work, and your efforts shall be well rewarded.
Anything to contribute to my Emperor's glory.
That voice sounds awfully familiar.
We must recover what I have lost as rapidly as possible. 2 more treasures are required to complete the Dragon Crown.
Yes, the Queen's Pendant and the Cross of the Sun King.
I knew it. It is him. Father!
Phantomar! What are you doing here?
Who were you just talking to?
Oh, does your impertinence know no bounds? Do you understand the predicament into which you have now fallen? Do you realize how like the bleating lamb flung in amongst the lions you are? Now return what you have taken before I am obliged to ask you yet another rhetorical question. Give to me what.
And now the Chevaliers are sent at us like a pack of wild dogs. Aw yeah, now it's time for a repeat of the thrashing we gave them in the first chapter.
Who was that?
I will tell you in the afterlife.
These knights are pushovers, literally. Give them the old shove with the D-pad and A button respectively. This is a harder version of the same minigame from the first chapter. It's quick to pick up the pace, and I gotta admit, I was a bit overconfident and the third phase kinda threw me off.
You're off your game. Take him now!
Like, look at these speedy little buggers. How are they doing that? They're hopping like fleas at blurring speed.
Bring it! Yes! Father, why?
As soon as the minigame is over, I assume we managed to escape back up to the surface of Paris. R laments over his father helping Napoleon since he's sure that he heard his dad's voice. Fondue consoles him though, and R decides not to give up until he figures everything out. We're looking for an antiquarian now so that we can hopefully find a clue for the next treasure. R conveniently read an article about where a popular one hangs out, so across Paris night streets we flee. And we find this antiquarian dozing off right there in the center. We speak to a student nearby who, okay, low-key, I think she's pretty cute. She tries to wake the professor up, but he is a heavy sleeper. She vouches that this guy knows a lot about French history, so being the impatient thief we are, we set off to find a noise that will wake him up. At the nearby market, we see some roosters caged up. The old man named Jean offers us one, and promises that we'll never oversleep again. But we do like a few extra Z's, don't we? We skip the offer and recockle-doodle-core the rooster and head right back. With a hop, the professor finally wakes up and wonders how. A rooster? That's a new one. And right when we're about to ask our question, his phone goes off. Suddenly he has a very important appointment to keep. It looks like we wasted our time, but right before he does leave, he gives us another lead and recommends that we check out the Paris archives. There we might find a particular book that contains the info we seek. So onward to northern Paris and into the library we go. Okay, I lied. I stopped by to tap some coins and talk to this big muscle dude who I recognize as occasionally dancing in the background. He's basically advertising the archives we're about to visit. I do like to backtrack during these chapters to see if people have something new to say, and while they do, it's usually just one-off lines related to our objective. Like our elderly neighborly lady seeing us as R and not Raphael, but wishing Raphael studied at the Paris archives like us. And this guy named Daniel who chastises today's youth for being on cell phones and the internets all day. Back at the task, we're inside the archives, which is basically a library. We talk to this dude who complains that his studying keeps getting interrupted by the librarian. She keeps the telephone across the room, so every time it rings, she runs past them to answer it. With that not so subtle hint, we record the nearby telephone and see this librarian for ourselves. We ask her about the book, and she confirms that they do have it, but it's part of a special collection, and only honorary members can check it out. R refuses to give up though, he's not that kind of phantom. So yup, we have to distract the librarian by playing the phone ringing sound next to her. Now that she left her post, we try to enter this special collection. Except, surprise, the door is locked by a secret code. And the code is whichever coin comes up next, apparently. Yup, another simple rhythm-based puzzle. Just gotta tap the right icon at the right time, and figuring out which one by seeing the pattern play out before you. Now that we're inside, we gotta dig through hundreds of books to find— oh yeah, you could just tap the tome that's sticking out. Technically, Fondue found this one. However, the book apparently had water damage, and reading through it is difficult since most of the text is faded. We do know it references the Queen's Pendant, and that the diamond in the center is called the Queen's Tear. R mentions a nice image, but it's not shown to us. All we know is that he'd make her queen too if she wept diamonds, whatever that means. At the end of the book though, it does list previous owners of the pendant, and we see that the current owner is Duchess Elizabeth, the same Duchess alleged to be Marie's mother. That also explains why Napoleon assumed Marie had the treasure. With the new info acquired, we head back to the streets. Outside though, I see someone with maracas. And reminder, this is a Sega title, so yup, this is a Samba de Amigo reference. This musician is named Paul. He asked if we like to dance, and being the groovy thief that we are, how can we refuse? Oh yeah, it's the song Vamos a Carnival, Let's Go to the Carnival, and it's an entirely new rhythm game.
Everybody get down! 3, 2, 1, groove!
1, 2, 3, 4.
We're shown the controls, but the game kinda just assumes you know what to press for which ring. So this one took me forever to actually learn how to do because of me being on an emulator. If you were playing on a 3DS though, it's a lot simpler since you can see the buttons and figure out what they're going for. But my experience on PC initially was rough because the buttons I had set up just did not match well with what I saw, and it kinda short-circuited my brain. Combine that with the occasional tilt of the console you need to do, and the emulator for some reason not registering the motion, it was frustrating to say at least. But then I learned I can hook up a PS4 controller to my PC for gyroscopic controls. And with a couple programs running, voila, it works. Once I got that down, it was rather easy to get a no miss on this game and baila con Paul.
Rhythm King!
Alright, but after all this sleuthing, we're heading back home. Being the brainy thief that we are, R deduces that the attack on Marie and the fact that Duchess Elizabeth having the Queen's Pendant must be related. What exactly does it mean? He doesn't know, but he decides to warn the constables and try to go after the pendant himself. But for now, we head off to sleep to close off the chapter.
Chapter 4. The the Paris Opera.
Alright, the Duchess Elizabeth is scheduled to meet Marie at the Paris Opera, and with the Duchess owning one of the 4 treasures we need for the Dragon Crown, it looks like fate has intertwined us once more. Raphael and Fondue muse over the girls' relationship before deciding to head out. Immediately outside, we can see our elderly neighborly lady, Paula, and the storekeep, Simon. I do low-key headcanon them as parental figures in Raphael's life, since Simon is wondering if Raphael is going to the opera house with Marie. And Paula is just being supportive in general. Nearby, we meet a mailman who asks us to deliver a letter to the shops. It sounds like a side quest, but it's actually a way for the game to have you stop by and see that marathon versions are available to purchase. They are exactly what they sound like, just potentially endless runs of the games we've conquered before. With all the side relevancies covered for the video, we head to the opera house. Once there, we see that there's a ticket checker, which makes us realize we don't have a ticket for him to check. Also, they've got a very full house. You can tap and talk to the NPCs in the entry hall, where one of them mentions Elizabeth touching places with her influence. I see. But we can't get any further in until we get that ticket, so we gotta head back out. After that, I tip and tap the screen a bit to find those pesky phantom notes. And outside, we meet a blabbermouth named Cyril that's literally spouting out stipend to his briefcase because gaming. He also gives us a new nickname, Dapper Dan. And he's scalping tickets at exuberant prices, which makes Raphael justify what happens next. That's right, we're scaring a ticket out of Cyril. We're supposed to go record a police siren, but luckily I already have one saved from earlier. So we play it, and Cyril runs from the cops and leaves the briefcase behind. Now we just gotta put in the pin number in minigame form because you gotta time your tippity taps to tap tap tip. And now we got some tickets.
Open sesame. Looks like we'll be hearing the fat lady sing after all.
Raphael, that's kinda rude, come on. So we flash our ticket at the ticket checker. Yep, that's a ticket. And we head off to find Marie. And further up ahead, we see Jean-Francois, Marie's caretaker. He's talking to Detective Vergier, who warns him that Phantomar might try to steal the pendant from Elizabeth. They do wonder why R steals paintings only to return them the next day, seemingly unscathed. But the detective is determined to prove his men's worth and promises to apprehend Phantomar. Good luck. Raphael and Fondue laugh to themselves and trip over some more phantom notes. Fuck! And now we head further inside to eavesdrop on the same cops from the station. And like before, Vergier's kid is the topic of conversation. And here's the surprise that Charlie, the soccer-kicking maniac, turns out to be the detective's child. During the commotion, Vergier accidentally drops a sparkling family photo, which depicts his late wife and a baby Charlie. A wholesome yet bittersweet photo. We head back and are treated with an animated cutscene of Marie waiting to meet Elizabeth. Jean-Francois tries to greet the Duchess, but is promptly ignored, as well as Marie.
Your Grace.
This is the girl who claims she is my daughter?
My name is Marie. Are you my mother?
Do not waste my time with this nonsense, Jean-Francois. She cannot be my daughter.
I know this song. It's Moon Princess.
My mother left me this song. I've practiced it daily, always hoping that one day I might play it for her.
Alfred, we're leaving.
Damn, bitch, that was cold. But also, I'm kind of put off by Marie's running animation. Like, what exactly is going on there? Raphael and Fondue saw the sad event, and while Fondue expresses remorse over Marie, Raphael reminds them that they need to find the Duchess to locate the Queen's pendant. So time to find out where Elizabeth is. But hey now, we can't access her seat since nobody can prance in there all willy-nilly. We need to be an employee of the Opera House in order to have the honor of serving her. Raphael overhears that the Opera House is short on staff, and while this waiter here named Andre wants the extra pair of hands, he does instruct Raphael to get trained first. A new path opens up leading to the corner of the first floor, where we see some dude running back and forth. And it's another roadblock. Dude can't remember what he needs to recall. We follow the red dotted path that leads to Andre, and he mentions that a bell's chime can jog the trainer's memory. So we gotta find a bell somewhere in this opera house. Run to the exclamation points on the map, tap the bell, twice for good luck, and head back to the jogging memory forgetter so you can tip-tap ring-ding that bell. What was it he forgot and remembered? It's a secret. And totally not him forgetting to pay his staff. That jerk. Finally, time to play the first minigame in this chapter.
Let the test begin. We start with the basics.
1, 2, 3.
And I love this one. There's 3 different directions you have to swipe with the stylus, each representing a task: bowing, pulling up a glass, and offering wine. Each new task is actually explained to you by the overly French waiter too. And I gotta say, I just love the French dub in this game.
Place your glass on the glass, you slide up with the rhythm. Oui, 1, 2, glace. 1, 2, glace. 1, 2, glace. 1, 2, glace. Pour wine on the wine, you slide left with the rhythm. Oui. Pour wine. Pour wine. Now, for real. Escort, s'il vous plaît.
There's really nothing more to say about this minigame, just gotta react properly to the instructions, with the wine offering requiring restraint since that takes the longest. And despite having a blunder here and there, I still managed to get an A rank on this first try. So this gets my seal of approval.
Oui, très bien. That is perfect.
1, 2, 3.
Now that we're a waiter, we can slip into Elizabeth's room. Before heading in, Raph stops and whispers a plan to Fondue. The 2 men then split up for whatever this plan is. And fun fact, you can go back and talk to the NPCs. Their dialogue changes to acknowledge Raphael as a waiter. For example, the Elizabeth touching guy asks if we know where the Duchess is, but we tell him we can't give personal information. Also, the reporter is here. She's here looking for Phantomar and asks if she could set up her laptop somewhere, but Raph mentions that use of personal computers are not allowed here, so she actually leaves the opera house. Now finally, we head to the VIP lounge. Andre himself seems more nervous than we are.
Good, now do your best. I mean worst. I mean, just don't mess up.
And now Raphael is serving up some drinks. Elizabeth's butler is suspicious since Raphael is a new face. The opera house being short-staffed is a likely excuse, but with Vergier's warning, the butler takes no chances, especially since he caught Raphael eyeing the pendant. Busted. The butler is calling in the constables, but now Fondue's part of the plan kicks in, through a new rhythm game. Oh yeah, we're biting some French police butts. We just gotta tap A with the right timing. And thankfully the guide ring here helps us get it down perfectly. It's a nice breather from the previous A matching minigames. This is definitely a more visual one too, where it's more reliable to keep an eye on the circles and the cops. Sometimes you get a bigger cop where you have to hold A. During the initial recording, I almost finished with an A rank, but I choked and whiffed the last bite, dunking my rank down to C. Ah well, good enough job, Fondue.
Anyways, with the cops distracted, and them believing that Phantomar is masquerading as a wild dog, good work, detective. We slip into our alter ego, Phantomar, and now Alfred the butler stands in our way. God, look how intimidating he actually is. He's mean-mugging us so hard right now. And now another rhythm game starts. It's a 1v1 where we have to have a slap contest with Alfred.
First, a warm-up. I hope you're ready, Phantomar.
The goal of the game is to dodge his hands. Except we're using gyro controls. The timing is weird.
Let's go!
Usually you react as the circles make contact with the icon, but for this one, you have to already be dodging when the circle closes in, I think? I never really found a reliable method. You just gotta build up a feeling for when to dodge rather than rely on visual or audio cues. It's weird, and I think the gyroscopic controls just doesn't help.
Not too bad. How about this?
It might be a skill issue, but I also had an easier time dodging the death blows. Also, I love when Art throws in a couple of sucker punches when we pull it successfully. Alright, but for real, it took me several tries to beat the first of 3 phases, and even then I was barely alive at the end of each one. But stick to it, and we can prevail.
Woo! Close call.
Back in the overworld, Alfred is shown bruised from the pounding we gave him. Ha! And Elizabeth simply hands us over to Pendant, no fuss. R does question why she's being so cooperative, and she vaguely states that the pendant has just been a burden to her. It does have the same marking as the one on the coin that Raphael's dad left behind, and once we grab it, it even starts to glow. This prompts Elizabeth to drop some lore on us, telling us that the wielder of the pendant is destined to carry out Tiamat's will. Reminder, the bracelet we stole earlier in the game is called Tiamat's bracelet. She also shares with us her family's poem. Beneath sun and moon, Amaryllis leads those who sings in the rain. We commit it to memory, and before we can ask Elizabeth a very important question, Vergier gives us a jump scare. And now we have to escape the opera house. All the NPCs are standing outside complaining about the commotion. Not Andre though, he gets to head home early. Well deserved if you ask me. Back at the entrance, we see a Phantom of the Opera? Or are we recording a ghost? The main exit is blocked, and we're given a new highlighted path to go back to the general seating area. A constable is stationed there, and it happens to be the same one we spooked before with the dog barks. And now he's mumbling about the place being haunted by... Okay, yeah. You just recorded Phantom and now you play the sound and he runs away once more. And now with a new exit upwards, we transition to the next minigame. Phantom of the Opera, let's go! 2 references in a row.
Go!
Anyways, tap A for the warm glowing lamps, and B for the cool blue lamps, which tend to be shorter leaps. Unlike the previous hopping game, you have to press the buttons right as R steps on the lamps, instead of right before, which, okay, I really don't like how the game conditions us to expect one rhythm, then adopts another one for a similarly themed minigame. I am also really trying here. I've done this minigame countless times, and I'm still failing it on subsequent playthroughs.
You cannot escape! Oh, really?
On my first attempt, I failed on the very last note, which was frustrating because I've beaten this game like 3 times so far. And after that failure, I just kept failing again, and again, and again. I'm really trying here. The leaps of faith, they're easier here thanks to the guide ring, but for some reason it's the shorter hops that I have trouble with. Sometimes you gotta leap 2 lamps in a row, and you gotta be quicker than you think. Like, the delay, there is no delay.
Way too easy. What are you doing? After him!
go.
But I don't know, man, I just couldn't get the right rhythm down. During retries, you have the option to purchase items that can potentially help you out. Things like filling up the rank faster, tinking fails better, or just getting a small boost of health in case you fail. These don't stack though, you can only get one of them. So as you can see, I went with the tinkier option in the upper right. And finally at the end, I'm done with this hopping nightmare. At least upon completion, we get rewarded with a new animation.
I've been waiting for you, Phantomar!
Charlie the Parisian flies in on his French glider. Like, seriously, wow, that's really French. And now it's time for another soccer match. Oh yeah! Nothing really changes mechanically from the previous soccer game, so the first two phases go through without a hitch. I will say though, this camera really likes the new locale, it just keeps moving back and forth. And as for the third phase, it adds in superficial difficulty by having the camera zoom all the way out and having birds fly in front of us so it can obscure our vision. Like, okay, thanks game. Nothing else to say, Charlie does like to kick back or kickbacks more frequently, but just kick back the kickbacks, Charlie kick back, tippity tap tap tip tap ring ding the bell, and finish the last minigame of this chapter by watching a new cutscene.
Hey, you need a hand? Falling from here would be a bad career move.
Go away! I'd rather die! Ah! Don't expect my thanks!
Wow, you're just as stubborn as a mule. Just like your father. Show's over, folks.
Shorty got away!
Chapter 5. In Search of Marie.
Alright, we've reached the halfway point now. We have 3 of the 4 treasures needed to craft the dragon's crown. But amidst the chaos, we forgot about Marie. R switches to their alter ego, and now we're off to find the girl with the violin. For this chapter, we have to follow the waypoint, talk to the NPC there, and then have a new waypoint open up literally one area ahead. We talk to the buff cop from earlier, to this pastry-loving gentleman, and the balloon vendor, right until we reach Raphael's place. The motherly, elderly, neighborly lady, Paula, mentioned that Marie did run by and was looking at his apartment, but she didn't stop moving and headed back towards the direction of her convent. So we book it to the place where she was abandoned as a baby with the treasures, which, I forgot to mention, reminded me of another baby princess from an infamous live-action movie in the 90s. And over there, we see Jean-Francois outside waiting for us. We ask him if he's seen Marie, but he reveals that she never actually arrived home. And he quickly laments trying to get her and the Duchess to meet. But we left him up with some kind words, and he thanks us by giving us a tip. Marie's friend named Josette hangs out nearby, and she might have an idea to where Marie went. So the goose chase continues as we look for her friend. But when we talk to Josette, she's shocked to hear that Marie is missing, and she's very quick to suspect us, saying that things have been odd since Raphael showed up. She doesn't want to tell us anything now, and is adamant about finding Marie by herself. So now we gotta head back to Francois and ask how we can prove ourselves to Josette. He drops a bit of history and reveals that Josette and Marie grew up together as orphans. He recalls that back then, Josette was ready to pick a fight with a boy, and Marie didn't want to see her friend get harmed. So Marie found a music box that she played to help calm Josette down, and the two girls were best friends since. And because this is a game, the aforementioned music box shows up on the bottom screen when we're done talking to Jean-Francois. And now we head back to Josette so we can play it for her. Now that she's calmed down, we're given a chance to explain ourselves, and now Josette trusts us enough by letting us know where Marie might have gone. There's two possible locations, so we decide to split up, and we're told to go to the La Halle station. A new path opens up right in front of us, so off we go to the train station. We ask around, but this fella...
Girl, I think I saw her.
Honestly, at first, I thought he was drunk because, well, usually in video games, if someone is hiccuping, that usually means they've been drinking. But nah, he's just got a bad case of hiccups, so now we gotta startle him. We got 2 roadblock puzzles in a row. I followed the red dotted path back to the balloon vendor, where we record a popping balloon.
Oh mon dieu! The shock, the surprise, the horror. But mostly the surprise.
French is a funny language. If only it were real. So now we run back and surprise the hiccups out of him. Sorry, Critical. This is the real cure. Go back to making smart mop videos already.
Anthony Sullivan here. I'm not thirsty. Go fuck yourself.
And now that we've cured this man's hiccups, he tells us that he saw Marie buying a ticket to Montmartre. And then his hiccups pick up again. No time for that though. Raph and Fondue beat some street and we're off to a new location. Now that we're in Montmartre, the day has turned into dusk. There's some emotional music playing here too, and again we're forced to stop at each point so we can ask around about Marie. Each time we do, the path extends forward to a new area. It's actually worth it to stop and tap here since these particular locations cannot be revisited again. And if you do miss those elusive phantom notes while playing, then don't sweat it because during postgame, you can purchase any permanently missed items and minigames with the medals you collect. In the next part, we meet the artist from the Opera House. He scribbles us a painting that Fondue seems to love. We ask him if he saw Marie, and he answers by sketching Marie right there on the spot. Man, I wish I could see him in action. But yes, he did see where she went. And now the final point opens up, and we head up the stairs.
Get your own show, Fondue. Hey, check this out. The cool thing is, when you do it right, you get the angels.
Angels?
You're an angel, so maybe they'll come. It's showtime! Well, I don't know about you, but I saw at least one angel.
Smooth.
Thank you, Raphael.
Hey, let's go to my apartment. There's something I'd like to show you.
God damn, he's smooth. We're instantly taken to another animation of the two talking in private. Raphael reveals a hidden cellar to Marie, and I love this weird angle of the shot here. Look at her bubbly eyes.
Don't tell anyone.
And inside, we see the room we saw at the start of the game, with various paintings lining the walls.
Amazing! They all look so real.
They are real. All of them.
But that's not possible. These are all famous.
These are the real thing. What you saw were fakes.
How can that be?
Also, I love how Fondu's butt comes into frame at the ending. Darn dog. We cut back to regular dialogue where Raphael explains further. His father was a forgery artist, so he'd forge famous paintings, steal the real ones to swap them out for the fakes, and that way he can sell the real deals on the black market. But all that stopped when he left Raphael that fateful day 3 years ago. We get another cutscene of Raph's dad leaving despite a red-haired Parisian's pleas.
Papa, wait, please!
Forgive me, Raphael.
Where are you going? Don't leave me!
Alright, corny voice acting aside, how old is Raphael? I always assumed he was an adult because he's living on his own, but he barely looks 12 in his flashback. Whatever, as his dad drives away, Raphael sees the coin he dropped, the one bearing the strange marking on all the treasures we've been stealing so far. Now we cut back to modern day, and Raphael explains that he began his thievery by undoing his father's mistakes. He'd swap out the forgeries and replace them with the real thing, which answers why Phantomar returns what he stole. So one thing I noticed while scripting, I thought we were supposed to be cheering Marie up, but the only topic is on Raphael and his trauma. Not once did Marie bring up how she felt about Elizabeth humiliating her in front of so many regal guests. But anyways, it's nighttime in Paris again. We're back in the overworld and supposed to escort Marie back home, but of course I take this time to talk to some peeps. Motherly Lady Paula noticed a couple being together at Raphael's apartment at night. I also meet a new NPC named Anne, who asks if we've been doing our schoolwork during vacation, which, okay, I guess that kinda answers my question. Raph might be in high school or maybe even college. And I suppose she's his teacher, and she brings up 2 more names that'll be important later. Moving on, Simon gives us some good advice and tells us not to let Marie go. After all that, we escort Marie back home. She's also curious about what Napoleon is up to though, and she begs Raphael to bring him along on the next mission. The mark on the coin is the same marking on her violin too, and she reasons that her and Raphael must be linked together to find their missing parents. Raphael kinda resists at first, but come on, those damn manipulative puppy dog eyes. She wins him over, and she bids farewell to both him and Fondue. Now we wake up in the morning and wow, Marie's already here. Anyways, we gotta find leads for the last treasure, the Cross of the Sun King. As we head out, we're greeted by somebody named Michael. Raph seems surprised, and he reveals that Michael is an old enemy. Michael teases Raph a bit since he's hanging out with a lovely lady, and Raph responds by... yep, running away. Anyways, to speed things up along, Raphael pulls a lead out of his own head because we need some way to progress. And off we go to visit his friend. And also, there's a minigame we can play by talking to this maid, but it's the kitchen cooking minigame again. Really, there's no comment to add besides the fact that it's harder. This is where I learned to keep the stylus down and just swipe right when the food is done because the chef is so quick.
Raphael doesn't even get a chance to do the animation of him actually swinging the pan.
Up. Yes!
Cuisine worthy of the Iron Man. A 3-star performance.
With all that out of the way, let's go to the lead on FDR Avenue. We meet Emile, one of Raphael's schoolmates. Raph asks him if he happens to know anything about the Cross of the Sun King, but no dice.
Emile deduces, though, that it must mean Louis XIV, and recommends that we go back to the Paris archives. So on our way, we go to the library. Hey now, Fondue's acting up for his French poodle. Love at first bark, am I right? But the owner talks down to Fondue and challenges him to a test to win her love. So now it's time for another minigame with Fondue getting the spotlight. Both Fondue and Poodle have to eat the food off the string. Fondue has the D-pad and the Poodle has the A button. If you look at the 3DS, you can see what they're going for, controlling either side of the screen by pressing either side of the 3DS. The game starts to pick up in Phase 2, where they start doing switch-ups. The music alone isn't a solid enough cue for knowing when to press either, so you gotta look at the guide ring, but hey, sometimes you gotta press both buttons or switch between in the middle of snacking. So I kinda went split-eyed to try and time everything right. The third phase though picks up quickly and starts to feel unfair because the timing is both vague and tight. Doesn't help that missing hurts a lot. But win or lose, the Poodle doesn't even look Fondue's way. And the owner rubs it in too once we're in the overworld. Anyways, on to the library. Hey, wait, there's a phony Phantomar. Raph and Marie spectate as the phony gets confronted by the cowardly cop. The two beat street, but for now the couple chooses to ignore it and move on. Alright, enough side content distractions. We head over to the Paris archives where we see that the librarian moved the phone over to her side. And just like last time, we ask if she has anything on the Sun King, and she mentions that the literature we need is locked inside and available to special members only. But thankfully Marie notes that the librarian looks sleepy, so now we're looking around the library to see if we could push her just a little further to Doze Town. As we look around, we see somebody named Christoph. Talking to him mentions that a lullaby outside is making him fall asleep. So we go outside, and we see the familiar mother singing to her baby. Yeah, she's actually singing too, so now we go back and play the full lullaby for the librarian.
Baby sleep, baby sleep, baby sleep until tomorrow. Baby sleep, we'll be playing in your dreams.
And now that she dozed off, we gotta solve a puzzle to enter the room. Except unlike last time, it's really fast and pretty much forces a failure for first-timers. Now that we're inside, we tap the single book sticking out because of context clues. And voila, Louis XIV. The royal family was in possession of this cross of the Sun King, and it was hidden in the Palace of Versailles. It mentions that Napoleon was also hunting for this cross after he found something called the Phantom Rosetta Stone. So this stone might provide the next clue, but we have no idea on where to go next. So we decide to go back to Raphael's friend Emile. In Raphael's words, let's beat feet. By the pier, we meet both Michael and Emile. Our enemy Michael starts talking, but Raph instantly interrupts him to ask Emile about the stone. And thankfully Emile knows something. It's actually on display right now in the Egypt exhibit in the Louvre. So we ignore Michael once more.
Hey, aren't you gonna ask about my discovery?
And we head off towards the exhibit. Except we're not going through the front entrance. To Marie's surprise, we're taking the pit. Whoops. To Marie's surprise, we're taking the back door that did not come out as I hoped. And like in chapter 1, we gotta solve the Simon Says puzzle. Now that's done, we slip into our alter ego, Phantomar. Once inside, we see a guard, and like before, we gotta sneak through. All sneaky breaky this time, but with a trio of thieves. Oh yeah, looting the Louvre Redux time.
Raphael, are you okay?
You have to ask? Ride the rhythm.
Marie's silly question aside, yeah, it's basically the same. Use the bottom screen to tap the appropriate pose to hide behind a conveniently shaped statue. It is faster and the statues are closer together, so the timing's a bit tighter. But thankfully it doesn't have any of that tricky vagueness from the other troublemaking minigames so far. Also, oh man, I love these animations. It's so cute how all three of them are sneaking past the guards together.
Go!
I will say that this minigame version is a lot more stimulating compared to the first, but the song is not as memorable. But hey, it's still pretty good and it's got some sweet acapella going on. But yeah, close it up and run for the exit. Afterwards, Marie admits that her heart is racing, but look at the smile on her face. She's gonna be a phantom thief herself by the end of the game. Once in the security room, we try to disarm the cameras, but it looks like they changed the system and R accidentally sets an alarm off. So now we gotta snag and run with the Rosetta Stone before the cops come closing in on us. There's only a lone guard in the Egyptian exhibit, and Marie suggests sounding the alarm to distract them since the cops are coming anyway. But I thought the alarm was already off. Whatever. So we go back one room, and record the alarm that goes off that doesn't somehow alert the other guard, but whatever, we go back to him and replay it. Now we get to see this Phantom Rosetta Stone, but surprise, it's shattered. The pair doesn't know what to do with this information, but the description says that Napoleon himself ordered the stone to be smashed. Marie guesses this is back to square one, but hold up. R surmises that the cross was never found, and the book mentioned it being in the Palace of Versailles, so it might still be tucked away there. So unfortunately this whole break-in was an unneeded detour, but at least we make it out the Louvre without running into further shenanigans. And Marie suggests that we take a tourist bus to the palace. So on we go to the bus. Wait, is that the phony-ass Phantomar? He's back! Yeah, he's trying to draw in customers for the carnival, and he wonders out loud if a duel with the real Phantomar will bring in a crowd. Raphael overhears, and we decide to humor him by breaking it down.
Think you can follow these moves?
Is that even a question? Let's dance! Let's dance!
So this minigame is actually more like Simon Says, with the phony taking the lead. He does a few moves, then it's our turn.
Shoot! Shoot!
You do get to see what moves you need to do, but the prompt to copy him is very quick, so it's actually best to try and memorize since the guide ring shrieks incredibly quickly.
Hey!
Shoot, shoot, shoot!
Up, down, shoot, shoot, shoot! Hey, are you sure you're not a hustler?
And for those wondering, yeah, the music and even the way they spout their instructions is taken from Space Channel 5. Here's a quick clip.
Right, left, shoot, shoot!
Up, down, shoot, shoot, shoot.
So that's just a very sweet Sega crossover. I also like the back and forth these two have as well. It's almost like R is training the copycat.
Somebody's got dancing feet!
But then phase 3 comes by, and oh my god, do not rely on the guide ring. If it flashes on screen, just swing the stylus and start dancing, because you won't even get a moment to even register which move to use next. You gotta flick it right away.
Down, shoot, shoot, shoot. Up, down, shoot, shoot, shoot. Shoot, 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 down, shoot, shoot, shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Up, shoot, 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 shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot.
See you soon.
Anyways, now that the show is over, we end with the copycat vowing revenge, and we move on to the bus nearby. But of course, we come across another metaphorical speed bump because the bus broke down. And being the young blonde and red-haired French couple we are, we offer to help. But I think the driver is breaking down too. Anyways, he explains that the key to fixing the bus is flicking the switches in perfect rhythm. That activates Raphael. Rhythm is his game after all. And usually I let the whole puzzle play out without dubbing since they're short and sweet, but this one took me a while to figure out because I think we're supposed to tap the buttons in timing with the light flickering, but progress is vague and inconsistent and it took a long time of tapping before voila. And off we ride to the start of another chapter.
Chapter 6. Intrigue in the Shadows.
We arrive at the Palace of Versailles, the home to the late king of Louis XIV. However, to our surprise, we see a crowd gathering around. We find out that a celebratory event is occurring due to the Fête de Paris, and we'll need an invitation to explore this palace. Raphael thinks about thieving a ticket, but Marie chastises him and insists on finding another way. So we scroll left and right and chat with the various NPCs. Man, look at this haughty chick. She's laughing at us. We see a familiar face in the crowd, Charles. He's the conductor of the music troupe, and lucky us, he recognizes Marie from the opera house. They're down one violinist, and he asks Marie to fill in, but not before testing her strumming chops right there on the spot. Oh yeah, we're playing a remix of Bach's Air on G. Nothing really special to note here, it's exactly the same like our last minigame, where you simply need to be strumming the stylus left or right in timing with the arrows. It doesn't matter how far you go, nor do you have any reason to lift the stylus, just Sonia strum left and right to your victory. Blown away by her performance, Charles gives both Marie and Raphael a ticket. Fondue comes in for free. Marie does have to split off to play with the music group though, so that just leaves us with the boys, oh yeah. I wanted to rub my ticket into the haughty girl's face, but her dialogue doesn't change. We flash the ticket at the ticket checker. Yup, that's a ticket. And in we go to a new map. Raphael tells Fondue that they're men on a mission, and they're gonna have to ask around about the Cross of the Sun King. The first person we speak to calls us handsome and asks if we're looking for love? Well, maybe, not looking for work though, just back off. So this is just a good opportunity to move around and explore, tapping on people and seeing what they have to say, while also collecting medals and phantom notes. As I script and edit, I noticed that there's a lot of locations like these that you can't go back to. So if you ever play, just take your time during these chapters. I also love how one of the ladies from the opera house recognizes Fondue, but Raph quickly writes her off. Anyways, follow the red dotted path and we find somebody named Caesar.
What up, flute boy?
And he's in a pickle. His music sheet got scrambled, and we gotta give a good ear to find out how to place them back in order. You're meant to listen to each piece of music, then tap the sheets and place them in the order it was played. But there's a trick, and that's the fact that they're just listed backward. Let me explain the damn puzzle.
Sorry, go.
And that's just that they're listed backwards. So plop them in place and the task is complete. Caesar is grateful and asks if we need anything, so we ask about the cross. Sadly, he doesn't know anything, so Raphael heads deeper now that the palace has opened up a bit more. Entering the new room flashes a quick piece of art on the top screen. It's someone Raphael recognizes, his dad. In a rush, Raphael tries to chase him, so we do this thing where you gotta go into the highlighted room, speak to the NPC who says, "Yeah, he went that way," and then go to the next room to progress the goose chase. Also, I'm glad Dad bumped into this haughty girl, and I love how sassy Raph can be.
While you were not busy being apologized to.
Eventually though, we reach a dead end. Fondue expresses concern to Raphael, and he eventually clears his head and focuses back to the task on hand. I try to tap on the piano, but the haughty girl keeps rejecting us the pleasure. However, Marie should be done with her performance, so we move on ahead to the gallery to meet her. And as we do, we get a new cutscene where, wow, she looks beautiful. It's nice to see Raphael blushing too for a change. The crowd around them starts to dance, which prompts Raph to ask Marie. And oh yeah, it's a new minigame. It's a simple tap or swipe game. The reaction time is slow, but it doesn't throw too many curveballs either. And I'm sure with practice it's very easy to no miss, but I do miss a few times, and low-key I chuckled over the look of disappointment they give whenever you miss a note. If you notice, they recycle the same control scheme a lot, but honestly I don't mind because, I mean, look at the luxurious background. Also, the context is different. These two abandoned kids are dancing in the palace of the Sun King, baby. And honestly, if that's not romantic, I don't know what is. Once we're done with the minigame, Raphael suddenly spawns in as Phantomar, which is funny because Marie asks him, "Why did you change?" And he's just like, "I don't know, nervous." But yeah, keep to the red dotted path until Marie suddenly perks up and asks us what's up. Raph comments on seeing his father, and Marie listens, which is honestly the best thing anyone can do. Moving on though, we ask people around about the cross. A gentleman does suggest asking the palace guide who's away in the Hall of Hercules, but it's off limits since it's where the next group of performers are getting prepared. So now we gotta go searching for another way in. We see another musician named Olive who recognizes Marie. She needs help tuning her violin, but Marie doesn't have her instrument. So it's up to R to go back to that piano room where the haughty girl is finally gone. We record a do-da-do and come back to da-do-da. Olive thanks us and asks what we're up to. We mention needing to go to the Hall of Hercules, and Olive is like,
"I got you, fam. Follow me."
So the path extends and we see the palace guide in a new room. We ask him about the cross, but again, no luck. He recognizes Marie as a performer though, and compliments her, while also lamenting the fact that the Duchess Elizabeth missed out on a great show. Does he know? Anyways, out of leads, R asks if they can go explore the gardens. The guide says sure, go ahead, especially since the gardens are known for their amaryllis flowers. Amaryllis flowers. Amaryllis. Amaryllis.
Just keep watching the video.
With the brain blast activating R, he remembers the saying Elizabeth told him. Beneath sun and moon, Amaryllis leads those who sing in the rain. So we rush out, hey, the haughty girl is back, and now she's sizing up Fondue. Oh hell no, we gotta pause everything and show her dog up. Yup, another dog show minigame where Fondue goes up against 3 bulldogs.
The 24th Annual Dog Show begins now!
Just swipe up, down, or left to R's instruction.
Lay down.
And yep, this is a lot like the waiter training minigame.
In first place, it's Mr. Fondue!
I missed a command early in the final segment, and that's usually the phase where mistakes are punished more heavily, but thankfully I didn't miss any other notes and got bumped to A rank right before the game ended.
Lay down. 1, 2, 1.
And the champion is Mr. Fondue! Congratulations!
After putting this haughty chick in her place, we head out to the gardens to search for clues. And more phantom notes, cause why not? This guy named Philip is out here, at what seems to be a dead end, but that's the game's way to force some lore on us about the Latona Fountain. They don't give more details, so let me recap what I read off Wikipedia.
Latona is the name of the goddess who gave birth to Apollo and Diana, the sun and god moons respectively. Their father was Zeus, which pissed off their consort named Juno. Juno told the mortals to bully the sun and moon gods as revenge. One day, the sun and moon gods came upon a pond and tried to drink from it. However, villagers nearby remembered what Juno ordered, and they started kicking up the mud from the bottom to prevent the gods from having a drink. Enraged, Latona turned these villagers into frogs, so the fountain is symbolic of that tale.
So we stop by the same fountain, and R happens to remember that his father told him that Apollo was the god of the sun, and Diana was the goddess of the moon. And these frogs under the active fountain must be the ones singing in the rain. The lack of Amaryllis doesn't seem to be an issue, since it seems to be a reference to a nursery rhyme? I searched for it, but it might be something made up for the game, or just really obscure. Point is, puzzle segment time, where we play said nursery rhyme using the frogs. It's actually a memory puzzle, where you have to tap the frogs that croaked.
The cross of the Sun King.
You found it for me at last!
Napoleon!
It is just as Graf said. Let the fox run free and it will catch the rabbit.
I'm no fox.
And it is no rabbit you have caught. A portion of my treasure will be yours.
That's a generous offer. But I have to turn you down.
So eager you are for death?
Marie, I want you to run first chance you get.
But what about you?
Don't worry about me, I'll be fine.
En garde! I challenge you!
Watch their moves or get nailed. Go!
Up! Down!
Down!
Down! Up!
Up!
Down!
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 Up! Down!
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 Up! Down!
Down!
Up! Down!
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 Go!
Up!
Down!
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 Up! Down!
Down!
Down! Down!
Down!
Up! Down!
Down!
Down! Up!
Down! Go!
Down!
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 Down! Down! Up!
Down!
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 Down! Up! Down!
Down!
Up! Down!
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 up, down. Up, down. Down, up, down. You put on a good show.
Man, I barely made it. We cut to Marie inside of the palace and it looks like she's asking somebody familiar for help.
Eh?
But then we cut back to the fountain, where Napoleon flaunts that his plan is going according to part.
What?
He gets a call, and it seems this Graf fellow managed to capture Marie.
No! Raphael, run!
So now R is at an ultimatum. He must complete the Dragon Crown with the treasures we have collected, and exchange them for Marie at the Eiffel Tower, tomorrow at high noon. With the odds stacked against us, we move on to the next chapter.
Chapter 7. Saving Marie.
We start off back at Raphael's apartment, where he's already assembled the Dragon Crown. Behold its slightly better resolution glory. At first it doesn't seem to do much, but when he holds it up against the light, a message gets projected onto the wall. He who bears the Dragon Crown rules the heavens. Moon Princess wakes the throne, but only royal blood opens the way. It's another mystery riddle, and we don't have time to try and solve it. Raph focuses more on rescuing Marie. He then comes up with an idea. With Fondue's help, they decide to track Charlie for a plan so crazy, it might just work. So morning comes and we set out to find Charlie. We stick to R's disguise for now, which has R stumbling in on Simon cursing Raphael for skipping out on watching the store.
Oops.
R realizes his mistake, but to be fair, bigger things are going on. But also, goddamn Simon.
That vagabond is probably off wooing some other girlfriend.
Really? Out of curiosity, I did try to go to the convent or at least talk to Josette about Marie, but that section of the town is actually locked out, with R stating that there's nothing to do over there. Alright, I guess. We then make it to the constabulary, where R asks the constables if they've seen Lieutenant Vergier, since he might lead them to Charlie. Outside waiting for us though, it's Eric, the cowardly patrol. And I love how he doesn't recognize R in the slightest. With the tiniest bit of pressure, Eric reveals that Vergier went off to a new art shop to support his old friend. So off we go. On the way there, we recognize the damsel who wants to be in distress. She mentions a phony Phantomar, and I bring this up because by talking to her, you trigger an event later on. So now we make it to the highlighted area, and talking to the young lady here named Grace leads us to the new path towards the art shop. Inside we meet the guy who sketched R and Marie all quick like. His name is Albert, and he seems to be a friend of the Vergiers. We speak to Albert and see if he knows where Vergier went to. We barely just missed him though. But to our surprise, Charlie was here too. Apparently Charlie and R are about the same age, and Albert sketches Charlie for us to confirm our suspicions. However, Albert notes that Charlie was wearing pink, which makes R doubt him and whether or not they're chasing the right person. Also, there's a dinosaur in his art shop. Is it alive? Who knows? Whatever, we got a lead. On the way there though, we see the reporter hanging out. She ponders out loud where Phantomar might strike next before asking us.
No idea, dude.
But she does lead us towards finding Charlie, or rather the kid dressed in pink, and leaves by saying a reporter never forgets a face.
Cool.
And we attempt to follow Charlie. Hang on a moment, the imposter is here, activated by the damsel earlier. You know what that means. Sorry Marie, we gotta draw in the crowds with another dance tool.
Come with me.
This dance is on. Let's dance.
And oh my god, does it lull you in a false sense of security by being easy at first, and then quickly gets crazy. This minigame is significantly harder. You know, it's the memory tech dance-off where the phony plays his moves, and we gotta mimic them. There's a lot more moves to remember, and a much tighter window to perform them. So certain actions you literally have to perform in rapid-fire succession.
Up, down, down, down. Shoot, shoot, shoot.
Right, down, left, shoot, shoot.
Up, right, down, left, shoot, shoot.
Combine that with all the weird gaps in between the moves and the camera suddenly snapping to you and instantly demanding you mimic, it's really easy to end up missing a lot of these notes.
Right, left, shoot.
Now, fun fact about this minigame, besides the fact that it's a Space Channel 5 song as well, my YouTube name doesn't come from Power Rangers, but rather something Phantom R shouts in between the transition segments.
Time to go galactic!
I know, it's a bit silly to admit, but when I was playing this game in front of my best friends, rest in peace guys, when we heard Raphael shout out "Go Galactic," we all got hyped and they watched me play, and it was just one of those memories that stuck around, you know? And this song, it just has this epic sense of finality despite the fact that it's a filler minigame. It's really awesome, but it's also really difficult, so just do your best to endure to make it to the end.
Shoot, shoot, shoot! Right, down, left, shoot! Up, right, down, left, shoot! Hey! Show's over, folks!
Alright, with the detour done, I went on another detour to talk with our Hispanic friend named Paul. And he has a new minigame for us, which is also a reference to another Sega rhythm game, Feel the Magic.
Everyone, rub it! 3, 2, 1, groove!
Unlike other minigames, there are no transitional segments. It's a single large endurance round where you have to dance to Rabbit. Compared to the Monkey Samba game, this one's much more difficult. The gyroscopic controls can create some problems because they expect you to move faster, but again, I've already complained about how long it takes to reorient the system. Still, I really had a fun time playing this minigame, and although it's long, I'm just gonna cut to the last segment so that we can move on with the video.
Come on, feel the magic!
Fuck! Alright, no more detours for real now. We follow the lead and we run into our arch nemesis, Michael. Michael doesn't recognize us as Phantom R though, so we ask him if he's seen anybody in pink run nearby.
Come to think.
And we run off to the next locale, where this soccer kid mentions losing to Charlie. Now we're getting closer, and the kid even gives us Charlie's soccer ball that they left behind, that way Fondue can track down the scent. And it's working. Following the trail opens up a new path. Or would, but the game throws us another speed bump in the form of this familiar clown makeup lady and her bulldog. She's wearing too much perfume and it's throwing off the scent for Fondue. So we speak to her and she mentions being scared of a mouse that she spotted elsewhere. So we go track down this mouse that's also chilling in the same area with this cat. Unity at last. We record its squeaks and run back to scare both the lady and her courageous bulldog.
Is that a mouse? Filthy beast, come suck butt. It's not safe here.
Like taking candy from a baby.
How?
And now finally Fondue can narrow down Charlie's scent. They're at the cafe across the street. We follow it and a new cutscene plays.
Is that really him? I mean, her? Bonjour, Charlie. Is this seat taken?
You're Phantom R!
Now. We don't want to disturb the other customers. I'm just as surprised as you are. I never thought that you'd look so good in a dress.
So, the truth's out. This is how I look when I go to school. What do you want?
I've come to ask for your help.
After R explains the situation, Charlie and him do a little back and forth. R calls in a favor for rescuing Charlie, but Charlie insists that they never ask for help. R then says that this is for the good of all Paris, and before he dips, he hands Charlie the photo that her dad, Vergier, dropped all the way back at the opera house. It's the family photo, and Charlie sees their late mother wrote a message of encouragement for Vergier. telling him that she'd watch over Charlie while Vergier watches over Paris. This quickly changes Charlie's mind, because they want to prove to their father that they're not alone in protecting Paris. And they agree to help, but on the condition that they're still enemies. Art thanks them and calls him Charlotte, but he's quickly reprimanded. Call him Charlie. Only their dad can call him Charlotte. So they plan up something there on the spot, and now it's directly off to the Eiffel Tower. Before heading off, I speak to the barista, and I agree with him. Tomboys are charming. With the goose chase over for the chapter, we can finally head directly to the Eiffel Tower, which is in a new portion of the map that just opened up in the bottom. When we get there though, we have to access the elevator, but it's locked with a weird password. You know what that means? Puzzle time. We just gotta press the right button at the right time. Enough with the curveballs! As soon as we solve the puzzle, we get treated with yet another animation. Marie and the Chevaliers are up there. Art tries to get Marie first before giving the dragon crown, but Napoleon insists. The crown first. So R slides it over, and surprise! Smoke bomb. That's when Charlie swoops in with her hang glider from above, disguised as R as well. It's a dual prong attack, and during the ambush, R goes in and takes out the knights. Oh yeah, minigame time on minigame time.
Help! Phantom R!
Hold on, Marie!
And it's the familiar press A in proper timing so you can push the guards away. There really isn't anything new to it. They're a little bit faster for the sake of difficulty, so I pretty much had to mash and pray hoping to get through the minigame. Also, you wouldn't notice this on the 3DS, but Marie and Napoleon back there is a 2D cutout, but it switches to 3D during the transition phases.
Show's over, folks. I'll be taking Marie back, thanks.
As soon as it ends, we see R running away with Marie. And sweet, Jean-Francois is here. He must be acting for
Phantom R!
The dragon crown.
The last great imbecile. The crown is not the true treasure, my boy.
So what is it?
It is a key, or rather, a map to a key.
Yes, I see.
How obvious! I owe you a great debt, Phantom R. I now know the secret to the key of commencement. It was a long time coming.
What are you talking about?
I am pleased, Graf. Now what was mine shall be mine again.
Wait, your name is Graf? I thought that Graf was my father.
Graf is my family's noble title. A code, if you will, for my family's secret past. Elizabeth is one of us, too, no?
You give Marie back!
It is a pity, but now that I know that she is the key, how could I release her? Still, I suppose I should give you something. How about a little lead? Inscribed Master Raphael, or should I say Phantom R?
Clap on, Phantom!
What the? Shoot him down! He must not escape!
Well, that was a twist. Going back though, when Jean-Francois shoots Phantom R, you can't really hear the gunfire on the 3DS. I watched the Japanese cutscene too, and it's also really hard to notice, but I do love the added detail of Marie trying to warn R before he actually gets shot.
逃げて、ある。あの人は。
And after that series of events, we follow up with what I regret to say is possibly the worst minigame.
Phantom! Don't die on me!
We take control of Charlie on the hang glider as the knights try to shoot us down. The particular problem with this minigame is that we're not actually given proper instructions. We're simply told to tilt and push A. What you're supposed to do is angle the console towards the knights on screen. Yup, gyroscope controls. You lock on automatically with the reticle turning red, and Charlie activates a soccer ball cannon to take down the missile heading towards us.
You won't get me so easily.
Stop dawdling! Shoot!
Once you get it all down, it's all simple and makes sense, but the game really does a bad job in explaining the controls. Couple that with the janky gyroscopic motions and you can try to tilt the system towards the knights, but sometimes you just don't lock in time, especially when you need to reorient the system when it gets harder. And also, this just confused many first-timers who had no idea what to do. First time, am I right?
It's one after the other!
Shoot! Shoot!
And you know what? I will concede that here and there, it's a skill issue whenever I have a complaint about some minigames. But seriously, if you look up this minigame, you'll see a lot of complaints on the GameFAQ forums. When you're playing on Citra, it's honestly not that bad. It's the gyroscope on the 3DS that really kills this game for many, which, you know, is the system most people played it on. And some even admit to just quitting here because they literally cannot get past it, even with items. Which is really sad considering the plot revelations unfolding and how much more awesome the game gets like literally right after this. But stick to it, and at the end you see that we get shot down anyways, and crash down onto Paris towards the next chapter.
Chapter 8 Marie's Secret.
Back at the Eiffel Tower, Francois boasts his double agent skills and how everything went according to plan. Except Napoleon brings up the Duchess, Elizabeth, but Francois admits that he was hoping to have Elizabeth join them after seeing Marie. But regardless, everything is moving along, and now Elizabeth is their next target. Back to our protagonist. R is wounded. Fondue can only watch over him helplessly, while Charlie tries to stir him back to life.
Whoa! You cannot be dead! You deserve better! Where is your grand finale? Réveille-toi, idiot! On your feet! I still owe you! So, you're not shot then?
Just a scratch. Why?
Then why didn't you open your eyes?
Seriously, what a drama queen.
What will you do now?
Find Elizabeth.
Alright, we have a new objective, but we don't know where the Duchess lives, so we decide to head to the Opera House, which was the last place we met her. On the way there, a new minigame is available, but it only gets a brief mention here because it's just a repeat of the meat-catching minigame from Chapter 2. Anyways, we head to the Opera House where we meet the ticket checker. His name is Julien. R shoots his shot and asks if he knows where Elizabeth is. At first, Julien tells us that he can't divulge any personal information, but something about R's eyes activates him. They may not be tickets, but Julien is certainly checking them out. But despite trusting us, Julien still doesn't know where she lives. He does suggest we head over to the Sorbonne, where we talk to the sleepy professor from before. As we make our way there, another detour is available, and it's another fondue challenge. It's the return of the poodle, but the dialogue is exactly the same as the last time for this as well. So we're gonna skip this one for the sake of pacing. Sorry, fondue. Anyways, we're at the Sorbonne now. We see a familiar face getting her ear talked off by someone. This guy's name is Remy, and he's another roadblock in that he likes to talk everybody's ear off. Before he gets a chance to prattle off R's ear, he slips away. And he seriously leaves Fondue behind. Look at him. Why would you do that to Fondue? Okay, but we do have to pull Remy away to find the professor. A nearby student tells us that the talkative Remy goes running towards his wife anytime he's reminded about her. So we follow the red dotted path to find his wife. Her name is Bridget, and she gives Fondue a kiss. Mwah! She then suggested we check out her show when we're older. Hachi machi, I'd love to see her perform. But I also guess that confirms R is a teenager. Anyways, we got her smooch sound recorded, so we head back to the talkative Remy and play it so he can leave Rosalie alone.
My precious wife, my beloved, let's speak together of music and love.
Once done, Rosalie thanks us by grabbing the professor we need, and he's awake. He tells us exactly where Elizabeth lives too, so a new path opens up and we head directly to her mansion. But we can't just prance in, especially with a nosy maid nearby. We ask her if we can meet with Elizabeth, but she gives us a cold no. That's when her stomach growls. She's hungry, and of course that means she's also a roadblock. So now we're off to distract her by heading to the market and recording some sizzling sounds of fresh, juicy steak being cooked. Oh yeah! And unfortunately, Fondue doesn't get to try any. Man, this is just not his chapter. We come back to play the sound in front of the maid and have her running away to the market.
I know it's not my break time yet, but a girl's got to eat.
Eat, girl, go eat! Anyways, now we can enter the mansion, which triggers a new minigame. Oh no. Nah, it's just the final statue posing minigame.
What mystery lies ahead? Onward, Fondue.
Go!
This one mixes in elements of the previous iterations. We start off by running, and then...
Two!
Oh yeah, all slow and jazzy like. Gotta be sneaky breaky here and there. And then suddenly...
Go!
The abrupt changes of pace isn't actually as bad as it looks. Once you get used to it, you can easily smooth McGroove through your game. Oh yeah.
Go!
While I appreciate what they're doing for gameplay, the song itself sadly suffers and becomes even less memorable compared to previous iterations, since it keeps jumping from fast-paced music to a slower, funkier beat.
3!
Now that we're actually in Elizabeth's mansion, we can go explore a little bit. Nobody's home, so we go directly to her room, where we record a gunshot for some reason.
This reminds me, a lot of the noises that we collect during these temporary locations never actually get used anywhere, which kind of makes sense since you can't collect them again if you can't revisit, but also it just makes me wonder what's the point.
As we scroll to the left, we see a shiny blip on a painting. We tap it, and there behind the painting, we find Elizabeth's diary. The contents confirm that the Duchess really is Marie's mother. Elizabeth writes that Marie is also the last descendant of Babylonian royalty. Wow. And this is important because that means Marie's bloodline triggers the Dragon Crown, which is something that Elizabeth tried to hide from her now confirmed cousin, Jean-Francois, just so she can prevent something called the Diodorus painting from being activated. But why? What is this painting? Being the nosy thief that we are, we decide to go snooping around a bit. Also, R's kind of a jerk, he left that painting hanging crooked. So we scroll to the right, and we see another shiny sparkle at her desk. It's locked though, and R says it best.
There's only one thing to do with a lock. Give up.
Nah, I'm just kidding. It's another puzzle. It's also the most annoying one so far. It's another match the musical note minigame. But you need a really good ear to distinguish where the notes go exactly. It's a bit funky to line the things up with the grid lines too, so I pretty much forced it by adjusting the incorrect ones ever so slightly, and playing it again until it was finally complete. This opens up the fireplace, which we promptly inspect inside. It's like another art exhibit in here, and there's another sparkly. Being the activatable thieves we are, we tap. Sorry, I missed. On the top screen, Fondue and R inspect a large painting before them. We don't actually see what this painting is, but they read us a description. The structure it paints is an ancient Mesopotamian treasure, and depicts the true dragon crown. Before we can inspect further though, a ruckus is heard downstairs. We quickly head back, and see that the Chevaliers have taken out Alfred, the Duchess's butler/bodyguard. The knights have kidnapped Elizabeth, and they've taken her to the Plaza de la Concorde. They run off, and Alfred explains the situation to R. R swears to Alfred that we'll go rescue both Elizabeth and Marie, but then the screen fades to black, and we cut to the plaza. Vergier and Eric are talking to each other, wondering if the rumors of Napoleon coming back is true.
That's not good. We must evacuate the city at once.
I am Napoleon, your emperor from this day forth. I understand that you might not believe what I say, for I have slept a very, very long time. I see the gendarmes have forgotten me. Perhaps a reintroduction is in order.
Oh yeah, we're playing as Vergier now, and he's packing some real heat.
The streets of Paris are under our protection. After him!
We actually get to shoot the knights themselves in dual-wield action. We gotta hit the shoulder buttons left and right to take them down. But be careful, the minigame hardly gives you much time to warm up before they start coming in swarms.
You will learn to deal.
Are you pansies or Parisians?
Man, he's so cool. If Paris was real, I'd be proud to call myself a Parisian under his command. The knights will take turns flanking left and right, and sometimes both sides will come at the same time. Oh yeah.
Oh, magnifique, Inspector.
Paris has seen worse than you.
3, 2, 1, go!
But man, this minigame is tough. The guns are quick, but those knights are even quicker. Your timing has to be near exact, and they can easily throw you off with how they just suddenly warp in and attack you, throwing off your groove. If you got headphones, then that will help immensely, because then you can rely on listening to them launching off both sides, and then repeating what you heard on the shoulder buttons. But on the third phase, as you can see, it's a freaking endurance round. Each miss docks a lot of life. I applaud the music though. The sax does give hints on when to shoot, but again, these knights are really quick, and that final wave of knights can easily force a fail if you're not prepared. I had to buy protection for the first time in a while, and trust me, it's been a while. But persevere, and we'll make it through.
Kept my promise.
Once we win, we cut to a cinematic where Paris is in chaos. Charlie protects her dad from the rear, and Vergier punches a knight wearing armor in the face. Seriously, this dude, what is he made of? We then cut to the bottom screen, where we have a touching father and daughter moment. We then cut to the top screen, where we focus on the other parent and child relationship, Marie and Elizabeth.
I've had enough of some playtime. Now you bow before my magnificence. Now play the song. Play us Moon Princess.
Never. I'd rather die.
Maybe later, but for now... If you do not play, your mother will die.
You're wrong. That person is not my mother.
How little you know. Elizabeth has been lying, trying to protect you.
But why would she do that? Huh?
Do not play the song. I am nothing but a stranger to you, little girl. Please, do not torture yourself on my account. No, Marie!
I never knew how nice hearing my own name could be. I don't care whose mother you are. I don't want you to die.
Marie was the key to everything. Too long have I waited for this moment. It is the time to rise again. Rise, great treasure of antiquity!
With Paris in an uproar, we cut to R facing the Chevalier Knights directly. And now we transition to another minigame. It's a souped up version of him running and jumping over the rooftops like before.
I'm coming, Napoleon. Let's move!
But this time, we're hopping over the Chevaliers. We gotta press A in proper timing to hop over them, while also jumping across the railguards. A new gimmick is added where we gotta double jump over the larger knights, with the timing being rapid to perform it properly. Another new factor is added where shortly after hopping off the zipline, we're supposed to jump off a big knight as well. It took me some practice to actually nail this timing though, and during my recorded playthrough, I pretty much messed each one up. It hurt enough to dunk my rank down to D, but screw it, after the hurdles we've gone through before, I just bore it and moved on.
See ya! No!
Napoleon, what are you up to?
Once completed, we get yet another animation with the alleged treasure being the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. It's a floating empire with rotating rings surrounding it. It can wield the weather as a weapon too. Napoleon boasts this fact right before R steals his thunder. Literally.
Your struggles will accomplish nothing! Hey, who stole my thunder?
The Eiffel Tower's got a lightning rod! Everybody, into the tower! Allons-y! We will strike from there!
God, I was laughing the first time because it's kinda silly, but it's actually kinda true. It's not the smartest thing to try and strike tiny precision targets with lightning when the Eiffel Tower is literally right fucking there. But fuck it, we ballin' and we breaking into this ultimate weapon to move on to the penultimate chapter.
Chapter 9. Weapon in the Clouds.
We're in for a wild ride. We're now in the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Fondue and R share a heart-to-heart, and we begin to explore a whole new map. The path ahead is straightforward. On the second level, R stops to read an inscription on this statue. Ruler of the Gardens, Ether, Storm and Rain, bend before your might. Seeker of power, stand upon the summit, strike with hand divine. At the highlighted area, we come across a locked door. Scrolling to the sides reveal more of these strange statues. Seize the moment. Capture the 8th light. Another message on the other side. We awaken to the approach of death. Seize the light, that the blue stone may shine. Sounds vague and prophetic, right? Actually, they're just hints to a really simple puzzle for the locked door. We shake a leg and head towards the new path. We meet back up with Marie, but Napoleon is still here. So begins another minigame where we punt the knights away.
To battle, my servants!
Step aside!
Except now, the B button is thrown into the mix, and we gotta press the right button with the right colored knight. The red knights get pushed away with the A button, and the blue goes away with the B. The game doesn't wait for any warm-up, and gets difficult really fast.
Come on! Come on!
You are no equal to me, Fatima.
The second and third phase opens up the battlefield, and the knights really like to mix in their color coordination.
You got that right. I'm better than you'll ever be.
I had a jinx start while recording, but I quickly got into the groove and managed to take out the knights.
You too, Thunder. We'll be taking our friends back.
Once we win, we cut straight to a cutscene where R is breakdancing for self-defense.
Also, I'm sorry, while editing I just noticed how silly it was to see him breakdancing and all you hear is armor chinking.
Napoleon then pulls a gun and aims it at R. But R is not his target. His target is actually...
As a Frenchman. The girl will die, and you will be left to contemplate your powerlessness.
No! Stop!
Why? Forgive me, Marie. I wanted to spare you from all this. That is why I gave you to the convent while you were yet an infant. But I'm glad I was able to protect you so many years later. Ma chère Marie.
Mother, no, don't leave me again. Mama. Mama!
Got one word for you, Napoleon. Waterloo!
Allons-y, Jean-Francois. We will meet up on the battlefield of our choosing.
No, stop!
For context, the Battle of Waterloo was what secured Napoleon's final defeat. Anyways, we cut to the overworld map. Immediately at the next point, we meet that scum, Jean-Francois. Or should I say, Graf. We confront him, but Jean-Francois does a big ol' villain talk about destiny before cutting to a cutscene. He summons a bunch of these robot knights that turns out to be the real Chevaliers Diaboliques.
Whoa, who are your friends?
The real Chevalier Diabolique, created to defend the Babylonian Empire. They know no pity, no mercy. They know only destruction. This time it is au revoir, Phantom R.
We then cut to my favorite minigame, because, well, did you see the bottom screen? Aw yeah, this is a triple threat.
There's just too many of them.
Too many for Phantom R?
Charlie!
We must defend Paris.
Inspector Vergier.
Good! The three of you can die together!
R, Charlie, and Vergier are working together. R's job is to punt away the knights in typical A-button fashion. Charlie's job is to kick them away with the soccer ball. Then Vergier pumps the others full of lead with the shoulder buttons.
Need a hand?
Keep your hands to yourself.
R's portion is easier since the game emphasizes the proper order a little bit better. Charlie's portion is trickier to nail the timing down since you don't kick right away, but rather when the knights begin their drill attack. And Vergier's portion is just like his last minigame, but it's a lot easier since we got a lot less knights to deal with.
Allez! Show them what the city's finest can do!
Don't tell me we're losing ground.
Come on! Yeah, 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 yeah.
No.
Come on! Yeah, 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 yeah.
No.
Come on! Yeah, 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 yeah.
No.
Come on! Yeah, yeah.
No.
Come on! Yeah, yeah.
You go on, leave this to me.
Don't let them escape!
Thanks, guys. I owe you one. I mean it.
Once completed, the path further extends deeper into the gardens. There are more statues to read, but they're most likely hints for another locked door that requires the same kind of puzzle to solve. Once we complete that, Jean-Francois is waiting for us.
Ugh, why is it that the most unsightly stains must be scrubbed out by hand?
My heart bleeds for you, Jean-Francois.
If you are Isaac's son, shouldn't you be helping us?
How did you know my dad's name?
Did you not see him beneath Les Invalides? Yes, your father is one of us.
No, that's impossible.
Oh, I guess you didn't know. Very well, I'll tell you. He began making forgeries for our organization when you were still young. You were very sick, you know.
He made those forgeries to pay the doctors.
Yes, and now he works for an even higher, more noble cause. The subjugation of the world beneath her true emperor, Napoleon Bonaparte.
Liar! My father would never do that!
Such sweet memories of your father you must have. You can take them with you to your grave.
We're thrown into a new minigame, and I love this one so much.
Would you like to see what this weapon can do, Phantom R?
The remix is Bach's Fugue in G minor. Jean-Francois being in a mech, that's probably a reference to Egg Emperor from Sonic Heroes.
I'll show you what real evil is.
Even his catchphrase where he shoots diamond projectiles at us is probably a reference.
Eat this!
This is quite impossible.
You're going down, JF.
But this also gives me very vivid Mega Man Legends flashbacks, since at the end of Legends you face an evil French robot that's also playing Bach's Fugue in G minor. But yeah, for the game itself you have to swipe the stylus towards the angle of which he shoots those diamonds. Also, I really love how Phantom R breakdances in the transition phases.
But this weapon is invincible.
Sorry, but it's very vincible.
You get a chance to hear each diamond prepare to launch towards you, then replicate it with your stylus. It's another one of those minigames that can be made much easier with headphones. And without them, it's actually not that difficult, but it's still stimulating and satisfying to nail.
But there must be some mistake.
Once defeated, Vergier arrests Jean-Francois on the spot. The officer then thanks Fantomar before letting him know that someday he will arrest us. But for now, R and Fondue continue exploring the Hanging Gardens. And once we reach a large gap, R thinks we should turn back, but Fondue persuades him. And now the men on the mission are jumping through the gardens together.
Group!
Okay, I swear, I really wasn't trying to fail that hard on the first attempt. It can be awkward at first to know when to hop. R and Fondue jump separately. Sometimes you jump together, sometimes it switches, but all times, you can actually press both the D-pad and the A button and you don't get any penalty.
We're coming, Napoleon. Group!
Once I figured that out, it became a piece of cake to get through the minigame. Also, I love the little howl Fondue does when he does a large leap.
You can't run forever. Group!
Man, it's kinda sad looking back. Chapter 9 so far has so many bangers, one after another, but preceding it was a bunch of awkward and frustrating minigames throughout the chapters. So this portion of the game really does feel like it's rewarding you for sticking to it. Anyways, we've reached the core of the weapon. We arrive at what looks like control towers where Napoleon waits for us.
Into the line, Napoleon!
It seems Jean-Francois' incompetence is dwarfed only by his overconfidence.
I'm putting the water back in your loo!
All show and no substance. Do your worst, boy. Now I will give you a taste of the very blade I have served to so many. This is the finale! Begin! 3, 2, 1.
Go!
Up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 down.
Go!
Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, down,
Go!
Up, down, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 down. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, It's not possible. How could I lose? No matter. He will continue the work I have begun in his name.
He will continue? Who are you talking about?
As it happens, my true name is Leonard Bonnard. A mere shadow to the true Emperor's light.
Bonnard, what are you up to?
Cleaning up this mess. Cleaning it for him. He will wade through the rubble of this world, and from it construct a new order. We have triumphed, Phantomar!
Okay, now it's time to put an end to this.
So, that man actually wasn't Napoleon. The screen on top is shaking. We're tapping on the sparklies in the bottom, but R doesn't know what he's doing.
It's no good. I just can't go on.
That's when Marie shows up.
Phantomar!
Marie? What are you doing here? What happened to Duchess Elizabeth?
My mother's fine. Do you know what the constable told me? He said this pendant kept her safe.
Well.
But no time. We're still trying to figure out how to stop this weapon.
Fondue! Violin? Brave, noble Fondue. You're trying to cheer him up, aren't you? Don't give up, Phantomar. There's always hope, right up until the last curtain closes.
Marie is cheering up R with her violin skills. But the song she's playing? Why does it have to sound so dire, really? I mean, it's fitting with the situation, but I find it funny that R is trying to defuse this weapon, and Marie is just adding to the tension of it instead of relieving it. I mean, seriously, listen to the violin screeching while R is trying to figure everything out. But then the second phase starts and it actually starts to lighten up a bit. Which is good because that first phase was tough. It actually took me multiple tries to reach the second segment without being rank E or anything like that, just because I wanted the angels near Marie. And now that we've reached the third phase, Moon Princess gets mixed into the music, and now it's filled with optimism and hope. So we carry on and finish this minigame to move on to the next animation.
The bracelet of Tiamat.
Since ancient times, the bracelet has been worn by those who do the Earth Mother Tiamat's will upon the land.
Elizabeth gave me the Queen's pendant because I wore this bracelet. And I get the feeling I'm not the only one in Paris who wants to stop these hanging gardens. In fact, there's a good chance that everyone in Paris wants this stopped. If I could somehow channel their energy. Thanks, Marie. If I was alone, I'd have given up a long time ago. There it is. The rhythm of the city. It's coming in through the bracelet. Feel the pulse of the people. I can feel the rhythm of the land.
Oh yeah, we got a funkier rendition of the first dance-off minigame in the beginning. Is there truly any better way to end the most epic chapter? We're filled with the spirit of Paris, and Marie is acting as the backing melody. This is a harder version, quicker reactions are needed, and now we're occasionally thrown in 2 dance moves to bust back and forth. But the third phase comes in, and we get some amazing backing vocals as well. And it's just amazing. Like, simply put, this minigame is amazing. This game is amazing. I mean, I know it's had its problems, but man, when the highs are high, it's really up there in the sky.
Don't worry, Paris. I can hear you loud and clear! Let's move. This place won't hold.
Psych, we didn't finish the chapter off with that amazing dance-off. We still need to escape. And the overworld is shaking as R runs through the dotted path. As we try to run, we're suddenly interrupted with a wall collapsing. Now we gotta find a different way. We reach the highlighted area and look around. Look, a sparkly, and you tap it to find another locked door. Seriously? At this point? Solving it opens a new path, but it looks like it's another dead end. R's indecisiveness prompts both Fondue and Marie to scold him. And now it's time for another hopping minigame, because Sega wanted them to meet a 50 minigame quota. There really isn't much to add to this minigame, besides the fact that it's tougher and was recycled pretty quickly, but at least it uses a different song, and it's a lot more epic considering the situation and the fact that it uses the Rhythm Thief motif. Completing it cuts to another animated cutscene.
Marie! Jump! Charlie!
Now we're even, my dear old friend.
And I just want to say, I love the shot of these three kids with parental issues finally meeting. I was hoping the game would focus more on these three, but whatever. And we finally end the chapter with more shameless handholding. Attaboy.
It's over, Marie. No more worries. No more being a pawn in their games.
Thank you.
Chapter 10. Parting Ways.
Alright. We open up with Phantomar back at his apartment. He's dressed up to go see the Duchess, and mentions that he plans to party like it's 1790. What happened that year? Oh. The final chapter is technically post-game, so we can explore Paris at our leisure. Our only objective is to find Elizabeth, but that'll end the chapter, so let's take some detours for now. Nearby, we can talk to the maid that gave us minigames to do before. And yep, she's got another one for us. It's the repeat of the waiter training minigame.
I am not enthusiastic, mon frère. Get ready for a true trial.
I won't spend too much time on it since it's just a more difficult version, in case you want to train your waiting chops. I will say this though, his dialogue during the transition segment is sus, to say the least.
Once again, with feeling. Feel me till I can take no more.
After that, there's another minigame to be found at the back door of the constabulary. It's Cyril, the guy we scared a ticket out of all the way back in chapter 4. And he's not too happy to see us. So unhappy, in fact, that he actually hired a martial artist to beat us up. Like, actually. This guy's name is Gaston, and we enter a minigame where we have to dodge his attacks.
It's nothing personal. Here I come!
It's exactly like the time we had to face Alfred the Butler, except Gaston is quicker, and he's equipped with some tonfa for that extra kung fu flavor.
He's spitting my kung fu!
Even the Oriental music is having fun with this showdown. Wish I can say more positive things, but gyroscopic controls. Need I say more? I had to bust out the PS4 controller for better accuracy, but even then it felt unfair where I was clearly swinging the controller left and right, and R only seems to register one motion. So it really sucked that I couldn't dodge all of his attacks for this video, but I held on and managed to defeat his food.
Someone's been watching too many movies.
I am defeated.
At the end, Cyril just says we'll pay and disappears. So let's move on. Back in the overworld, I was going through each and every point to talk to every NPC. There was a lot of people to go through, but not a lot of meaningful dialogue. So I'll bring up a small handful of the cast that we've spoken to in the past. Outside, we meet our elderly neighborly lady, Paula. She finally drops the bombshell that she knew Raphael was Phantomar all along. But R doesn't seem too concerned, thankfully. Emile is around, and he just tells us about the origin of the Fête de Paris. And Jean, the damsel who wants to be in distress, admits to being bored since she thought the knights that were invading Paris were thrilling. I also spoke with Josette, who doesn't recognize us since we're dressed as Phantomar. She vaguely refers to Marie, saying that something unpleasant happened to her, but also that it's hard to feel blue when something wonderful happens to someone you care about. I also ran into the mom and her baby getting ready for the Fête de Paris. And also Bridget is around, the smooching wife. She's performing a dance at the parade, and told us that no ID is required for this performance, haha. Being nosy, I went back to the convent where Jean-Francois used to hang out, but for some reason Albert is there, the guy who does the amazing sketches. I do find it weird that he's here, while his art shop can still be explored. Someone named Isabel is hanging out in there, and all she does is complain about the Fête de Paris being delayed without explanation. Took me some time to realize that they somehow did a blackout on the whole Hanging Gardens fiasco. Anyways, I went back to the Sorbonne and saw that Rosalie is complaining to a professor. He's not accepting her research paper because she lacks certain citations. But the books she needs are locked in the special collection, back at the archives. I actually thought this was a mini quest since R jokingly asked Fondue if he's up for some research. But no, we can't go back to the archives. The librarian is outside and she lets us know that it's closed for the Fête de Paris. This man, the one who always gave us game hints, just outright tells us to tie up any loose ends. He's referring to the Phantom Notes and the sound collection. Doing so unlock bonus chapters. These chapters are actually just a single minigame with some more story to play. The first bonus chapter requires us to collect all the sounds needed for the master instrument. Bernard describes us the sound he's looking for, then we play it off the recorder. Do this a few times and the instrument evolves like a Pokemon. And while Bernard also plays us the sound, the way he describes them sometimes doesn't make sense. For example, the camera flash sound he needs is referred to as the impact sound. And then the car's honking noise he refers to simply as the annoying sound. These sounds then get physical manifestations added to the master instrument. I also found it funny that some parts of the instruments are added but hadn't been provided yet. For example, I was missing the trash can sound, but if you look at the instrument, it's literally right there. And also, just look at it. It's a freaking monstrosity. How does one actually perform music on this? It's got a bike, piano, organ, frog, horse, baby ducks, even an airplane. But anyways, once completed, it finally evolves into a myriad of musical instruments. The bonus chapter, Meeting Fondue, then becomes available, which we can access at any time during the main menu. It describes how Raphael first met Fondue.
Chapter X. Meeting Fondue. This is the story of how I met Fondue.
It describes how Raphael heard a ruckus in an alleyway, only to see a dog get chased by a cat. By the way, Fondue hasn't got his name, so let's just refer to him as Dog for now. Raphael then proceeds to insult this dog.
You know, dogs are supposed to chase cats. Maybe you're actually part chicken.
Raph, that's kinda rude, come on. Raphael does emphasize with the dog though, since they were both abandoned. And Raph muses for a bit on what to call his new dog, but the dog doesn't seem to react to any of the suggestions. The screen then cuts to black as Raphael summarizes the next few days. He tried to find a new owner for the dog, but nobody wanted him since he wasn't a pure breed, he wasn't a puppy, he just wasn't anything exceptional. After a while though, he's forced to run the dog out because Raphael was about to go on his very first heist as Phantomar, and he didn't know if he was actually going to be coming back home. So he shoos the dog away, and we cut to a new scene. The constables are chasing an amateur Phantomar. He had a less than stellar heist. Apparently he fell and wounded his leg, and just when R was about to get caught, aw yeah, Dog's first minigame.
Hey, it's my top cheese!
It's a repeat of the previous one where Fondue had to bite the constables for a distraction. This one is harder only because there's more constables to bite, but also the music is kinda cool. It's got a heroic, melancholic tune to it, like Fondue knows that he has to prove himself or else his master's gonna go away. Also, I just love how he poses up. Look at this dog, he looks more like a bug when he hops like that. Anyways, not much more to add on to this minigame. Just remember that ACAB originally stood for All Constables Are Biteable. Aw yeah. Also, I'm glad I didn't whip the last one. Yes! Once done, Art thanks this mystery dog, and concedes that the dog isn't part chicken. When it counts, at least. Raphael then explains that his apartment doesn't allow pets, so he's gotta accept the dog as a partner. Yeah! Raphael then mentions wanting to eat some hot cheese fondue, and that word activates our dog. And that's the story of how this plucky, hungry dog was named Fondue. There are 2 more bonus chapters to unlock, but spoilers for those who made it this far. I mean, is it too late to give a spoiler warning? These next bonus chapters take place in the near future, after we close everything up. So with all the detours taken care of for now, we head towards the Notre Dame Cathedral, where the Duchess Elizabeth waits for us. There, they confirm that Marie has both French and Babylonian blood in her veins, with the Duchess being French, and her unnamed father being the baby, I guess. Elizabeth mentions knowing R's father, and that he was once a close friend, but she sadly doesn't know where he is now. We then cut to a new animation.
I'll find my father. And the truth.
Raphael?
Marie?
Raphael, thank you again. If you hadn't been there, I don't...
It wasn't me who changed your destiny. That was you, Marie. So, shall we go? It's almost time for the last dance. And then... au revoir. It's showtime!
Man, he really did just hold her hand in front of God, didn't he? How shameless. Alright, I'm done with the prude jokes. We now enter the final dance-off minigame.
Your greatest steps, your destiny.
So this is goodbye, Marie.
Au revoir, Raphael. I mean... Phantom R.
This is where the credits would roll, but we still have some unfinished business. First, the Phantom Notes. Those that weren't collected in missable locations can be bought. Thankfully, you can also see which ones are missing in the menu, and each piece is labeled, so you can use a guide if you're missing any stragglers. Once you have all the sheets, you go to Charles the conductor. He awaits in front of Raphael's apartment. Once you turn them all in, he gives you the next bonus chapter, Marie's Test.
Marie's Test. A year after saying farewell to Raphael, I decided to take the examination to enter the conservatoire.
The Duchess and Alfred are there to show support, and it appears that Alfred is a little more nervous than Marie. Elizabeth then gives some advice to her daughter, telling her to relax a bit and to enjoy herself. After all, we can tell when someone is going through the motions and when they're playing from the heart. We then cut to the judges talking amongst themselves. We can see they're already apprehensive about Marie, since she's playing an original song. But regardless, Marie is dedicating this song to Raphael, who she hasn't seen for a year. There's not much else to say about this. It's a really good song, soft and bittersweet. And then the second phase kicks in, and good lord, do those violin strings tug at the heartstrings too. If you hadn't noticed, it's a violin rendition of the final dance-off song. We're doing it right, not missing a single note, so the angels will come, just how Phantom R showed us. And of course at the end, the judges take Marie in with open arms. The bonus chapter ends with Marie wondering where Phantom R is. And truth is, she misses him. We all do. Now the final bonus chapter was a bitch and a half to unlock. To get it, you need to A-rank every mission. I seriously don't know how I did this over a decade ago without breaking my 3DS. But after a good amount of time, I powered through and managed to get every A rank needed. And this bonus chapter involves Private Eye Charlie.
Chapter X, Family Ties. It was half a year or so after everything happened. I was scouring the streets of Paris trying to get to the bottom of it.
We cut to the non-dub dialogue of Charlie explaining how nobody knew what happened to Phantom R, or even anybody involved in the whole Hanging Gardens incident. Even the press didn't mention anything about it, and of course Vergier refused to talk about it. So Charlie, being the nosy detective they are, decide to sneak into their dad's office, sort of like how we did before, and that's how they discovered the Mr. A incident. Charlie then follows in Phantom R's footsteps and goes back to Les Invalides to hopefully find new clues. But once there, they discovered that the place wasn't as deserted as everybody thought.
Who are you? An enterprising young detective who takes a dim view of evildoers like you. Your age won't save you from me. Funny, I was just thinking the same.
And the final minigame plays out. Oh yeah, number 50. And it's a twin threat attack from Charlie and special guest Vergier.
I told you to stay out of this!
Stick it in your ear, old man!
It's hard to notice, but the timing here is tighter than the triple threat showdown back from the Hanging Gardens. You'd think it'd be easier considering there's one less flow to keep track of, but at least it's not the hardest or most difficult minigame. Those gyroscopic controls get the trophy for that, Jesus Christ.
You call that police work?
Everybody's a critic!
Which makes it frustrating for it to be locked behind such a frustrating requirement. But whatever, I guess they just wanted an excuse to use those A-rings for something. But also, when did Vergier get here? Did he notice that Charlie was snooping in their office and figured they'd go to L'Invalide, or were they already here?
You alright, father?
Of course, don't worry about me!
But despite this not being the most difficult game, it is also really easy to get a fail. Like, if you miss too many notes during the last segment, then you're just screwed and you're forced to retry, which ironically made me much better and, funny enough, A-ranked the mission.
I'll admit it, I'm impressed.
I'd do anything for Paris.
Once we're done, Vergier scolds Charlie about coming to such a dangerous location. It's also clear that Vergier is trying to get Charlie's nose out of affairs. And while they do deduce that the Chevaliers are coordinating something, Vergier simply shuts them down, insisting they stop nosing in these affairs. However, Vergier concedes that his child's just not gonna listen to him, so he decides to head off while Charlie decides to snoop in a little bit further. That's when we're left off with an ominous tone. Charlie discovers something, but we're left in the dark, literally. As the final chapter ends with a cliffhanger. But that's not the final thing I wanted to show. After you let the credits roll, we're treated to a couple more cutscenes. We see Isaac, Raphael's father, and he seems to be with the real Napoleon.
Time still remains before your body can be completely restored. With your permission, I would like to begin the next phase of our plan. Be ready, Raphael.
We also get a very nice photo of the crew hanging out together before the final cutscene plays.
Marie, I'm looking forward to seeing every single one of your performances.
There you are, Fatima! And you'd better stay there!
Know your place, Charlotte! It is the Paris Constabulary's duty to arrest this rhythm thief!
He said it!
So much for losing those two guys. See ya!
And now that was everything about Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure. There was a mobile game spin-off called The Paris Caper, but that's technically lost media now, and it just seemed to be a summarized version of what we just went through. There are definitely unresolved questions though, like I wonder if there was anything significant about Marie losing her hairpiece while the Hanging Gardens were collapsing. Also, why is R and Michael enemies? What is Napoleon and Isaac actually planning? What did Charlie discover? Will Fondue win over his girl? I seriously do wonder what direction the sequel could go. Sega has been revitalizing old properties as of late, and I grew up as a Sega kid. So whenever I went to go see the Sonic movies in theaters and saw the huge collage of Sega titles being displayed on the big screen, man, I always have hope. I have hope for the future. Anyways, this is Go Galactic, named after something this red-headed thief shouts during a filler minigame. And I seriously thank you all for watching this video if you stuck around to the end. This started out as a small project to do while I was recovering from certain wounds. I don't want to get into too many details, but man, 2024 did not end the way I hoped. But here's to 2025 and to the future. Hope you all stay safe. See ya.
Show's over!